Hello, everyone. Can you all hear me? Or maybe there's a delay. Can everyone hear me? Hmm. Nothing going on in the chat. Can people not hear me? Okay. People can hear me. Oh, there's a delay. Oh, okay. This is going to be a little tricky. Let me check to see if you guys can hear my audio, because this is my first time, right? So let's just give it a go.
The world is weird, it makes me nerd, but at least I get to talk about it with Jose.
Okay, I hope you all heard the music. So that means we're starting. Right. And any comments about the audio so far? I just want to make sure everything's lovely and you all hear it and it's good. And obviously, I am a bit paranoid about all of this and a little nervous. So, okay. And people are saying there's a bit of static. Let's turn it down a little. How is that? Ooh, 15 second delay. That's going to be a little tricky. Maybe I can listen to my own stream. Is that like a thing? Okay. Now, how is this? I'm adjusting the gain on the microphone. I'm getting a lot of conflicting messages here. People saying there's static. Some people saying there is no static. Okay, this is weird. My voice is down, but not the static. Goddamn. Okay, probably should have got some help. Yeah, white noise. That's unfortunate. Step open in the new tab. Sure, let's give that a go. Bear with me, everyone. This is all new, so it's gonna be a little tricky, I guess. Damn. Okay. Yeah, that is a lot of static. I can hear it now. Probably should have got some help. Yeah, white noise. That's unfortunate. Step open in the new tab. Sure, let's give that a go. I'm just trying to figure out if I can deal with this static. Bear with me, everyone. This is all new, so it's gonna be a little tricky, I guess. Also, maybe that's an echo. Let's get rid of this static. Jeez. Yeah, sorry about the echo. It's probably really annoying. I had to turn off the audio there. Let me try. Oh, cool. Thank you so much for that super chat. View of white noise. Very cute. Very fun. Oh, I don't like these stupid alerts. They look dumb. I'm going to turn that off. Maybe if I get rid of this. It's not gone. Yeah, that's what I thought. Maybe it's the desktop audio that's the issue, so I just turned that off. So how is this? Or maybe I need to like... Yeah, that's what I thought. Maybe it's the desktop audio that's the issue, so I just turned that off. So how is this? If you hear me echoing, that's just me checking the audio. So it's not the desktop audio. Okay. Everyone's saying it's like not a big deal, it's fine. I actually do not like it, so I'm trying to fix that up. Wish there was a live way to check this, because the audio delete makes it a little tricky. Okay, I'm gonna try something else. Just give me 1 second here. Did it cut out at all? Did the static go away? I am using OBS, liberal clock. If there's any advice you can throw my way, that would be super awesome. I think the frustrating thing is, yeah. I usually fix this when I'm editing my videos, so I should have remembered my mic is a little weird. Oh, I'm definitely not going to end the show just because of it. It's, okay, so if the static was constant even when I'm unplugging the mic, then it's probably not my microphone, because if it's literally turned off, then it's probably not that. Thank you, Plish Pawn. I wish this that super chat went to something that didn't have a bunch of static in it. Yeah, I'm seeing it in the audio input capture, so maybe it's that. Maybe I have two microphones. No, I don't have two microphones on. Yeah, I can. Let me try turning down the gain some. How is this? Is this better for the static? Let me know. Okay, I'm going to play the long version of my song. If the static goes away, let me know.
La 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 la. I don't know how I know you, but I know that I'm happy you called, 'cause people, they're so peculiar, I think that I've had enough. Well, that's just not true, 'cause I still like you, even though the comment section told me you're a bleeding heart and beta soy boy dork. People want to talk about everything that's in their head. People want to shout about everything that makes them mad. Frustration, overstressing, rhetorical regressing. Sitting on the fence is just complicitly digressing. But your opinions don't suck and you use citations. Oh, I just cannot remember how to put all my thoughts in boxes. My feelings, they're not linear, and I'm not great at the fast responses, but that is your thing. Lucky you can't sing, 'cause I gotta make you this, and now you have to play it every time you go to work. I will say this once again, depression binging has no end, so follow up on what's been said and tell us what you think, my friend. Oh, the world is weird, it makes me mad, but at least I get to talk about it with Jose.
Okay, clearly there was a bit of static there, even when playing the song. Let me try muting my desktop. How is this? Is this lovely? Because I can just turn it on when we're listening to crap and then like manually switch it on and off, and I guess that would be the compromise. So Not a great compromise, but there we go. The microphone is plugged into, God, what are these things called? Audio processor. So that's that. I don't know. Maybe that's doing something. I have no idea. And yeah, I am muting sources one by one. Oh wait, how about that? Is that better? Because oh my God, I had a third. I had a third microphone going. Does that get rid of it? Oh my God. I hope that wasn't it. Because I saw it like buzzing a little. That fixed it completely. It's gone. Everyone's saying it's gone. Okay. So the trick was the audio mixer, I just had to scroll down, and then there was like another mic input thing that I just. Yeah, first stream problems, huh? Here we are, and I love the chat coming alive. Everyone is happy. The world is a better place, isn't it? And oh my goodness, we have 436 people watching. That's a lot of people. I was hoping for at least 100, but we're a little more than that. Lovely though, lovely. Okay, so I wanted to give people time to come in and maybe do a story time in the beginning, but like all that time with the audio glitches, oof. That took up some time, huh? So, well, one quick story before we start, just because I feel like I got to share this personally. Earlier this week, my computer had a massive problem. The RAM just died, and it was kind of frustrating. And oh my goodness, that's a huge chat from Alex. Wow, thank you so much. I interrupt my story just to thank you, but that's really kind and generous. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, Diabolic Down Under, for the Luddite moment comment. Also, thank you so much for sharing my videos back when I was little. I remember those days when I was just a tiny little wee streamer, and not many people were talking about me back then. Not a streamer, a video maker. What am I even saying these days? Okay, so back to the story. Earlier, I was having issues with my my RAM, and it failed. What an exciting story this is. Anyway, so I had to go buy a new one, and it just sort of reminded me about 5 years ago if something like this had happened, where RAM that was less than a year old and a newly built computer just failed like that. That would have really sucked. I would have just, like, oh my goodness, that expense 5 years ago in my life would have just completely crushed me. And I remember paying for it on Monday, going to the store and thinking like, ooh, this kind of sucks, but you know, this month's going to be fine. Like this sucks, but it's not going to really hurt my life too badly. And a lot of that is because of this YouTube channel and the extra income it's giving me. And I know I'm really fortunate and privileged to have so many people supporting me who are very generous with their time and attention and sometimes even their money. And honestly, it all helps, even the people who just watched. I appreciate all of you as well. Thank you, Forrest Taylor. I'm not turning the static on. And yeah, just that moment earlier this week, reflecting on my financial status, it was nice to sort of feel like things are in an okay place when I don't speak much about my personal life, but there was a time when it wasn't. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, let's get down to business. The winner of this, the poll was obviously to watch some horrible right-wing content. As you can see from the little heads, there are a couple of people I have in mind, but I want to do another democracy. And so here's how we'll be doing this particular stream. I have a poll that I've set up, and I will be posting it shortly. And originally I was thinking like, oh, I'll like watch a couple of videos in advance and take some notes, so I won't just be doing it completely off the cuff. And part of me thought like, hey, that's kind of defeating the purpose of what this live stream is supposed to be, something a little more spontaneous and fun. Also, I kind of want to devote time not to like prepping for a stream, but working on the next video. So that's kind of what I've been focusing on. So yeah, I decided the way this is going to work, I'm going to let you all vote. Whoever wins is the person whose channel we're going to be checking out. And we'll just see what they posted in the last, I don't know, week or two. and react to it in real time. I have no idea what I'm going to get into because I haven't kept up with any of these people. So I will just give me a moment here to get the poll URL. I'll put it into the chat, and you'll all be able to vote. Because who doesn't love democracy, right? Okay. Hopefully this will actually work out, unlike, me trying to get rid of that static. Oh God, I felt like a real boomer when that was going on. So the poll is going into the chat. I'm gonna give this a moment to let my voice catch up so people are ready. And if you see it pop up, that's what it is. Maybe it's popped up as I was speaking because there is a delay. There are only 3 options, and like I said, we're going to be looking at their most recent stuff. Let me pull up a nice little private window here. Ooh. Yeah, you can see I'm using Firefox. And we'll see who's going to win. Who's going to win? Oh, yeah, I should probably put the results on here as well before we go. I like watching the little delay as I try to get the browser on the screen. It's exciting. And wow, just looking at these results, it's really close. Crowder and Ben Shapiro. I'm kind of... Ben Shapiro taking the lead. You guys, this is I'm kind of glad no one's really voting for Tim Pool because I've been on a bit of a Tim Pool detox. After you really dig into his content, at least me personally, I don't want to hear his voice. It's very unpleasant. And I know I'm influencing the vote there, but I feel confident in saying the other 2 are going to be more like, oh wow, it's neck and neck. Crowder and Shapiro just slugging it out, the 2 titans. How long am I going to make this poll go on for? I don't even know. Let's give it a few minutes. Looks like Shapiro's pulling ahead. Maybe I should put the URL again to give people another chance to vote. There you go again. There it is. People want to vote. It's there. Let your voices be heard. And Shapiro's just running away with it. Everyone really hates Ben, huh? I get it though. He's kind of obnoxious, isn't he? I'm trying to keep up with the chat. It's a little tough for me, but for people cheering on Tim Pool, I'm sorry that he's losing this one. I feel like he's not as popular as he was. I guess because most of his views were coming during the election. That ended, and he kind of faded away. Because he spoke to that Trump crowd, I think, more so than your average conservative. But hey. That's just how it goes sometimes. And I think it's pretty safe to say, I don't know. I was going to say calling it for Ben Shapiro, but let's give it another minute. I'm going to post the poll one more time. We'll call it at 2:20. How about that? 2:20 Eastern time. So a little over a minute. In the meantime, I'll try to read this chat to see what everyone's saying and thinking. I'm kind of just looking at this poll and it's really excited. This is like election day, isn't it? Vote for the person who is the worst. And yeah, to the people who don't want either of them, I'm so sorry, but this is what the stream is. Your alternative is Tim Pool. So yeah, and I wanted to focus on some big people. Maybe we'll do some random stuff later. Maybe we'll even do a Q&A. We'll see how this goes. Forrest Taylor wants more static, more Tim Pool, and he's a masochist. Yes, I can clearly tell. Okay, and oh God, I'm going to have to call this soon. But it's so close. It's so close. 2 votes separating Crowder and Shapiro. 10 seconds to go. This is on a delay, so it's probably over by the time you're hearing this voice now. Okay. Yeah, it looks like we're going to go with Shapiro. Yep, he won it. Ben wins again. Maybe the Koch brothers dumped in some votes. Who knows? But that's how it's going to be. Also, how can I turn on dark mode, or do I have to let's put it on dark because I don't want to burn anyone's retinas here. So let's do it. Let's just type in Ben Shapiro. Best moments. That's fun. And let's look at his channel. Let's see what we got here. Do I even have the desktop audio on? Because you're probably gonna need that if I like play any of these videos. Whew. So we got some interesting choices here. He talked to Andrew Yang. Whoa, I feel like that's a clip from somewhere in the past. And it's brand new, only 20 minutes old. Joe Rogan spoke to him. Oh God, are these like best of clips? Like, I don't know how like recent some of these are. Because talking to Andrew Yang and Joe Rogan in the same day, that seems like a lot. So we're only going to look at things from the last week, and yeah, we'll see. A lot of people arguing in the chat about the votes. I'm sorry that it was stolen for Shapiro, but yeah, that's just the way it goes sometimes. And also, I'm using a private window. Don't worry about my algorithm. It's fine. It's fine. All right, so Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens interview each other. Okay, I can't choose between these, so let's go with whatever has the most views, because that'll probably be the most fun, maybe. I think in the last week, the worst Academy Awards of all time. Oh no, wait, Dave Portnoy. Trump broke so many people's brains. Okay, I'm actually not familiar with Dave Portnoy. Is he someone who's fun to listen to? Should we really care about? I'm gonna turn off the alerts because people don't like those. I don't like them either. I've made them invisible, but like they still appear. Yeah, there we go. All right. I just turned off the notification thing entirely because, like, whatever, who cares? If you do a chat thing, it appears in the chat window anyway, like a super chat, so it's fine. And I don't have any special things. Someone asking how I feel about cursing in chat. Keep it to a minimum. All right, so let's listen to how Dave Portnoy explains Trump broke so many people's brains. Almost 1 million views, so I'm sure this will be good. I don't even know what Barstool is. I'm sorry. I'm not really a sports guy, but I'm sure he's just an awesome dude. Anyway, let's go.
The one bite pizza
Sure.
shtick. So how did this begin?
So that began, I want to say about 5 years ago. We had a debate in our office. If you could eat one food the rest of your life, what would it be? One of the guys who works for us said burritos. I think his theory was like breakfast burritos. I said pizza, and then we actually did it. So
Okay, they're talking about
for about
pizza,
a month,
like-
I only ate pizza every single meal. I was eating it so much. I like grease coming on my toes. It was great. But I was eating it so much,
turning
people
down
started
the
being like, how is
This is
it? And I'm
dumb.
like, all right,
I
I'll
don't
just
care
take
about
one bite and give
eating
you a quick
pizza.
score. It was weird timing because so that was filmed like weeks before my sex tape was released, and he was wrapping like
It's
leather around
filling,
me.
yeah,
And
the
I had a little
phylacteries,
joke.
yeah.
I'm like, this looks like a fetish video. It came out the same day, so it was set me up to roll with the punches.
This is not
I
a good
think
video to start on.
my
This
dad was
guy's
the
really
type of
boring.
guy. He'd send me if he saw a story on the internet, he'd
And
fax
I'm
it.
slowly
So
adjusting
he
the
was
loudness
not
down because,
necessarily
like,
the most savvy tech guy, but
Oh,
it took him a while.
hey,
to
we're in
realize, hey,
hell.
this
I'll
thing
call
is
you by
working
my
Barstool.
by your
They're
gimmick name,
proud,
right?
But occasionally, the sex tape will be collateral damage.
Okay. We're a quarter of the way through, and he's not said anything interesting. And I've adjusted the audio, so it's not so bad. Yeah, this is. How am I though? Am I still okay? Yeah. Too loud. Right. How am I okay now? Because I turned off the I turned down the desktop, and now you're just hearing me. I can turn up the gain a little as well if that helps, so you can hear me over this. I don't know. I feel like we got to go by gimmick names, Sam. That's like we're in front of people now. We're not like doing things in the wild wilderness of Toronto here. Uh, yeah. So okay, we're good on volume. All right. The video is loud. I've slowly turned down the audio here. Maybe I should just make sure my audio is overwhelmingly loud over this crap. Maybe it'll get interesting.
What they said about me, it was politics 100% of the time. So maybe that goes away and opens up. The flip side is there is an audience that appreciates, and it's not even left or right, it's kind of both. Like, I like how these guys aren't backing down. And our audience allows us to do that. So people have always asked, why do you fight back? Or why do you
How does
fight
my
back? Or why don't you
voice
just
sound
shut up when
now?
someone takes
He's
your
still not
spot?
really saying anything
People
interesting.
don't
It's
care.
just sort of like,
But
oh,
I'm
we're
not
so
gonna do that.
cool.
Like,
We stand up to
I
people.
will
Ugh.
never throw the first
Whatever,
punch,
dude.
but if you throw a shot at me on Twitter, out of
Oh
the
yeah, I should have
clouds,
put PragerU
it's not my responsibility.
on the
I don't
voting
feel
thing,
that way. I
but
haven't felt that way since
whatever.
day one, and I don't feel it
maybe
now.
next
But
time.
that's what all these people do. They'll throw grenades, and then they'll cry when you're like, well, we're shooting back now. So why'd you throw the grenade? So, and I've offered, I know it's kind of cliche. I'll talk to anybody.
So people are
If you
okay
have a
with
problem
the
me,
video
I'll talk to you anytime,
audio now?
any
Is it?
place,
Should I turn it
anywhere. You
up,
can
or
bring
I feel like this is
100
fine.
people, and I'll debate you by myself.
But I can up it a
because
little.
I'm confident. Now, are there jokes I've made that I wish I didn't and are perceived differently now? Of course, but I've been doing this for 20 years. So I'll go through point by point by point everything I've ever said.
All
or
right.
done. Some I maybe
video's
I
a
wish I
little-
didn't do that.
I'm
but I know my
adjust it up
character,
slightly.
and our intent has always been to make people laugh. Period.
So you mentioned Trump, and obviously Trump has been the political 400-pound gorilla in the room, 800-pound gorilla in the room for a while here. So what did you make of Trump, and what was it like interviewing him?
That was surreal interviewing him because I've never interviewed anybody before. So, I found out
Wow,
they
going
asked
from
me
no
to
one
do
to
it
Trump.
the day before.
That's a big
It's
deal.
like, all right, yeah, cool. I'm going to go to the White House and do it. Great. He was super nice to me. And, I thought
Okay,
there's
I'll
an element
keep talking over this. This is
of
going to be the test video. This is the one
my
we burn. 'Cause,
personality.
like, this is.
and
oh,
he
this
got
guy
it.
is
He gets
nothing,
attacked
huh?
so much probably that his hackles go out. And almost like what I just said, oh, you're going to attack me? I'm going to be a real jerk back to you. Now, is it always presidential? Probably not.
Okay.
There's things he did that I
Everyone's
like,
saying
and
it's-
I think he's
it's
so unusual.
better.
And then there's
Cool.
things
I'm gonna
he
keep it
did
like this, where I'm
it's
slightly
like,
louder
that
than
makes
the
it
video.
hard for me to support him. And
Ultimately,
like the
though, I'm
Charlottesville riots,
thinking
when
like,
there's bad
who
people
cares
on
about
both
this
sides.
guy? And let's do a
To
better
me, it's
video.
like that was like the KKK. You got to like say that and be more open to that. I think the way he handled the Capitol
do that.
was really bad. So there's things he did that are really bad, but again, it's so two-sided on every like the Democrats.
just
being like, let's
adjusting
all
this
get
to
along
make it
now,
look a
and
little
you
nicer,
got
I
to support the
guess.
president. It's like, well, you didn't do that, so why should they do that? So it just sucks. Both sides suck.
That guy is super boring. Let's go to a better video. And that was just a test. That was all just me like testing how this is all gonna work. Thanks Ryuki117. I really appreciate that. And it's a really cute little sticker. Number 1. Very good. Someone said something that the interviews for Ben Shapiro are not good. Very good. That's a good point. Let's see Ben offer his own takes on something. His opinion on the worst Academy Awards of all time, the 2021 Oscars. I didn't actually watch the Oscars, so maybe that's not a good one. Why Biden is... Oh, God. Why are his videos so boring? What is this? Shapiro wrecks the Oscars. Hollywood hates his audience. Ooh, this is actually kind of interesting. I do want to see an alt-right Malcolm in the Middle ripoff now that you mention it. One of the interesting things about Ben Shapiro's, though, when he talks about Hollywood hating his audience, is that this is like his line, and everyone at the Daily Wire, they want to make sure that, we're all against Hollywood hates you, and, watch our shitty movies instead. I think he's just sort of projecting Hollywood hates him because he's terrible and not talented. And his screenwriting career went belly up because he's just not a good writer. Thank you so much, Matthew Egley. That's, wow. Oh, that's a lot. Thank you so much. I'm really, wow, thanks. I feel like maybe I should be saying better, but I've never been good at accepting people's praise, I guess. It's always been something that's been a bit difficult for me, and I'm trying to be more gracious about it. because it's often sincere at this point, and yeah, it's really great. You okay? I'm just getting an error from YouTube here. Is the video still working? I mean, I'm just keeping it on his YouTube channel, so but I'm getting some kind of error thing from YouTube, so I don't know if this is like cool. And to liberal Cluck who's asking, I'm not I'm not doing the debate thing. Sorry. Oof. Okay. I'm looking at. I am looking at the clip that We're in Hell just sent me, or not the video. I know what this is. I don't want to do this for my first stream because I feel like it's too much. Because it's clearly we're still trying to get this one all together. Anyway, so all right, everyone's saying it's good. I don't know. Someone said the UBI one. Guess what? That's what we're doing. We're doing the UBI one because, UBI is a complicated issue and it's difficult. But I bet Ben Shapiro is not going to get it. And maybe no interview ones. Actually, we want unfiltered Ben Shapiro, don't we? So maybe not that one. Thank you, Diabolic Down Under, for another one. A lot of super chats tonight. And I keep getting a thing saying there's like issues with the stream. Maybe it's because I have ad block on. Let me turn that off. Okay. How about now? Oof. Let's listen to the most insane part of Biden's speech. I'm going to make an executive decision here. That's what we're going to listen to. We'll get some unfiltered Ben Shapiro, and it's going to be fun. Let's just go for it.
White supremacy is terrorism.
Everything is white supremacy, according to the left. By the transitive property, everything you don't like is terrorism.
What I like about that comment is it has nothing to do with what Joe Biden said. He just said white supremacism is terrorism, and now he's like extrapolating it. Like, obviously, everything is white supremacism, according to like nothing Joe Biden has said, but sure. Ben Shapiro is going to correct that for us. Thanks to that Pazuzu for $1.49. Interesting number. All right, let's go in. Let's go a little further.
Again, he needs a crisis in order to manufacture all the things that he wants to do. So Joe Biden really did backload a lot of the wildest stuff in the speech. So all of the spending, we're going to give you free daycare. We're going to give you free 3- and 4-year-old Head Start programs and free community college and free this and free that and a free Blueberry for every person and 2 belly buttons.
I would like a free Blueberry. Why would people want a belly button, though? Like, it's funny how he couldn't even think of, like, oh, people are getting blueberries and an extra belly button. Okay, dude. It's, yeah. Also, he didn't say free, huh? He said the government would, like, pay for that. I feel like that's being missed out here, but sure. Let's go.
Right, we're gonna do everything you could possibly. That was actually not the wild part of the speech. The wild part of the speech is when he started talking about race and guns and immigration. This is where it got real weird, real fast. Okay, so he started talking about how America is deeply racist. So he starts off the speech with America's great. It's a great, amazing, filled with amazing middle class, better back Badugu. And
oh my God, his Joe Biden impression is really bad. Like, I know Ben Shapiro's not funny, but wow. Wow. Okay. Thank you, Jick1. I'm glad you showed up at all. I'm glad anyone showed up. It's exciting. But yeah, I guess we're going to go back to this Ben Shapiro thing, this Joe Biden impression. And thank you for an idiot online. Okay, thank you for all these chats. It's hard to keep up.
And also, but you're racist. So here was Joe Biden saying that you're racist.
My fellow Americans, look, we have to come together to heal the soul of this nation. We've all seen the knee of injustice on the neck of black Americans. Now's our opportunity to make some real progress. The vast majority of men and women wearing a uniform and a badge serve our communities, and they serve them honorably. My fellow Americans, we have to come together to rebuild trust between law enforcement and the people they serve, to root out systemic racism in our criminal justice system.
Okay.
Wait, 3 clips that supposedly have Joe Biden calling all Americans racist. I didn't hear that. We got some talk about systemic racism, which of course doesn't mean people, it means systems. He even, said some nice things about cops. I don't know, how is Ben going to explain that all of this is racist? Okay. All right. Also, by the way, during that Joe Biden speech, wasn't it kind of weird when he started talking about systemic racism and then started talking about how the cops were great? So we went from talking about systemic racism to giving a standing ovation to cops within 15 seconds. I feel like that could have been, a little more graceful, let's say. But let's hear Ben Shapiro explain how this means Joe Biden is saying everyone is racist.
Stop it there. We don't need the rest of this. Okay, so there are a few things that are worthy of note here. One, when he says we've seen the knee of injustice on the neck of black America, this again goes back to something I've been saying for the last couple of weeks. Derek Chauvin was convicted of murder and manslaughter, but he was convicted of something of which he was not even accused, being a racist. And America was convicted on the basis of that, of being racist, systemically racist. And Joe Biden just continues to lie about that. That's why he says things like the knee of injustice on the neck of black America, because Derek Chauvin is a stand-in for the racist, bigoted, vicious American system. Also,
again, Americans are not the American system. I feel like he's missing that. And that's, I guess, one of the ways of protecting the system is to make sure your audience identifies with it. So if someone says the system is racist, Ben Shapiro translated it as saying, he's saying that individual people are racist. Don't you hate that? Don't you want to defend the system now? Because, transitively speaking, you are also being called racist. And you need to stand up for cops who, to be honest, probably aren't standing up for you. Certainly weren't standing up for Derek Chauvin. So let's move on.
Cops are all wonderful, but they are systemic bigots. Right? This is just,
again, the word bigots doesn't even make sense here. Okay. I feel like I'm just going to be saying the same thing over and over. So let's let him go for a little longer.
Bizarre, stupid crap. And Joe Biden pushes it because, again, he needs a crisis in order to manufacture all the things that he wants to do. Another crisis that allows him to manufacture this sort of stuff. He says that gun violence is an epidemic in America. An epidemic. Again, we just had an epidemic. I'm pretty sure it's not. Like a shooting.
It was a pandemic, not an epidemic. But I'm just being a pedantic jerk when I say that. I'm pretty sure gun violence has been bad in the U.S. for a long time. But, Ben's going to explain how it's actually fine.
In Chicago doesn't make me pick up my gun and go shoot somebody. That's just ridiculous. Here he was doing this routine. He says gun violence is an epidemic in America. And then he starts talking about deer in Kevlar vests or something. This is where he starts just rambling into weird territory. Have you ever seen a deer wear a Kevlar vest? I saw one time a wolf. And wolf wore a cashmere sweater. God. And it was weird.
Okay. I feel like I need to apologize because when I do my videos, I usually cut out stuff like this where Ben Shapiro tries to make jokes, right? It's just not good. It's not good content, and we can all laugh at how bad he is, but it's rough. So the Kevlar vest thing, Ben Shapiro's presenting it as something nonsensical. It's actually not that tough to figure out what he means because there are certain rounds that are fired or sold, I should say, and fired by guns that are armor piercing. They're commonly called cop killer bullets because, they are good at shredding the Kevlar vest of cops. And it's kind of weird that people can just buy them because usually if someone is going to, attack you in the street, I don't expect them to wear Kevlar. I don't know too much about street crime in the U.S., but I don't know how many criminals wear Kevlar vests when they're robbing someone. So why would an average person need those sorts of bullets, right? So when he says deers don't wear Kevlar vests, he's saying, you don't need this high-powered ammunition to get through this, to go hunting and have this hobby, right? That's that's what he's saying. But Ben Shapiro is presenting it nonsensical because he's either too dumb to understand or just a hack. Maybe both. Thank you so much to Sunil Motwani. I probably said that wrong. No word of Trump's manufactured crisis on the wall. I'm sure Ben would think it is a crisis for no other reason than it's been repeated on the right a lot. And that seems to be how he forms his thoughts. Something's repeated enough on the right, he'll just believe it. Thank you, local NKVD informant. Glad I'm getting some support from the UK. I've never been to the UK, but I'd like to go somewhere at some point. And we're going to go back. He's still doing the Joe Biden impression, everyone, so brace yourselves. Because, it's not easy.
Give me a hug. Pat him like Corn Pop's leg. And you don't need a gun. There's Joe Biden.
Really?
There's no possible justification for having 100 rounds in a weapon. What do you think, deer wearing Kevlar vests?
You're getting Kevlar in the Jubu. Number one.
The Jubu?
If deer don't wear Kevlar vests, but sometimes bad guys do, too. Does he really think that getting rid of 100-round clips is going to somehow, or 100-round magazines is somehow going to lower gun violence? When was the last time you saw somebody commit a shooting only with that weapon? Like, seriously, how many homicides in America are caused by 100-round magazines?
I appreciate Ben Shapiro making this point because maybe gun control legislation should go further and target more common guns. Great point, Ben. Thank you to Jangle Science Lad. You're saying I'm good at this, but actually not. I think I'm okay for now. I'm sort of feeling it, getting into the vibe. We'll see how it keeps going. Let's go further with. Let's let Ben finish his thought because I'm sure he wasn't actually calling for stricter gun control.
And beyond which, forget the magazines. You're just going to have people walking around with bandoliers, right? It'd be like an old Western. Whatever. This is all ridiculous. Then he suggested that white supremacy is terrorism. Now, this was a departure. Okay, some of this stuff was ad-libbed. And when Joe Biden ad-libs, you're in wild territory. So Joe Biden on script is bad enough. Joe Biden ad-libbing, he's out in space somewhere. So he was talking about the intelligence community and how white supremacist terrorism is a threat in the United States, which is true. There are white supremacist terrorists, and they do violence.
Very well said.
You've seen that. But he didn't say white supremacist terrorism. He went off script, and he said something else entirely, something that actually is quite dangerous. Okay, here's what Joe Biden said with regard to terrorism.
Let's hear this.
And we won't ignore what our intelligence agencies have determined to be the most lethal terrorist threat to the homeland today. White supremacy is terrorism. We're not going to ignore that either.
He didn't say white supremacist terrorism. We can stop it there. Okay, when he says it should have been white supremacist terrorism. That's an actual label. When he says white supremacy is terrorism, right there, that means something very different. Because just think of all the headlines that you've seen in the past few months. Everything is white supremacy, according.
Sorry, I just need a moment here because I feel like I can only expose you guys to so much Ben Shapiro at one time. And, an error. Okay, are we good now? I'm getting little error things from YouTube and it's like really throwing me off. All right, so I'm appreciating Ben Shapiro here. He's not. Some people are saying he's like defending white supremacy here. He's, I think, criticizing the idea that the label of white supremacy is too widely applied. It's being applied to too many things, too broadly. But his evidence is just think of all the headlines you've seen. Let's see this. Let's see if Ben can actually support this claim with some real evidence. Let's
bring to the left. Everything they don't like is white supremacy. And educational inequality is white supremacy. Systemic policing is white supremacy.
Systemic policing? What does that even mean? Systemic policing, okay.
Hand sanitizer is white supremacy. Everything is white supremacy. So if white supremacy is terrorism, and you're going to use the power of the federal government to crack down on white supremacy, And by the transitive property, everything you don't like is terrorism. This is why you shouldn't let Joe Biden off the chain to ad-lib, because you end up in weird situations.
It's kind of ironic because I think Ben is doing a lot of ad-libbing here, and he's just like, this is largely nonsensical when he's talking about, he sort of says, white supremacy everywhere. They're saying everything is white supremacy, like hand sanitizer. And I know he's being hyperbolic, but it would be great if he was specific. If he talked about, I saw a headline in the New York Times saying, I don't know, whatever, was white supremacy, when it clearly isn't. But what he's trying to actually do here is just undermine the usage of that term. He's not defending it directly, but it's more of an indirect tactic, right? He's making sure that the charge of white supremacy is looked at with some skepticism. I sort of said this in the past. This is a big part of what Ben Shapiro does, and this is his whole role in the conservative media ecosystem. He doesn't always defend the bad stuff, but he does encourage people to pay less attention to it or direct their attention to something else, something he thinks is more important, like, I don't know, cutting taxes for rich people or a flat tax or something. It's what he's best at, I guess, because he's never good with the really extreme takes. It's always just kind of, ugh. Okay, let's move a little further with this clip.
Okay, then he talked about immigration reform, and this honestly was one of the best parts of the speech, because he talked about how politicians have failed to do immigration reform while there are tens of thousands of children being held in cages on the border. And then he's like, my solution to that is, he said this last night, his solution to that was to pass legislation to make it easy for the dreamers to stay, create a pathway to citizenship for farm workers, and put permanent protections on immigrants for temporary protected status. So, in other words, we have a crisis on the border with people washing into the border by the tens of thousands, and the only solutions he mentioned last night have nothing to do with border security. Nothing. Even border Democrats, like Mark Kelly, they're like, I didn't hear anything about the border there that actually makes any sense.
So that's actually ridiculous, of course. Border security, okay. So in Ben Shapiro's mind, he seems the border crisis as, one that's just a question of security. So one of the things this reminds me of is when I was doing that video on Borderless, if anyone can cast their mind back to that, which was the second movie, is the second movie done by Lauren Southern. Not a good movie. And I got to research some of the security around border security in, Ceuta. I probably pronounced that wrong. I'm frustrating all my all my Spanish friends here. And reading about the history of the border there was especially interesting because it's a series of decades where the security around the border is just gradually increased decade over decade. It started off with one fence, then it was two fences, then they put barbed wire around the fences. And it's really ridiculous because Ceuta in particular, if you don't know where it is geographically located, let me see if I can get a map. It's located right here. Ooh, there's a place called House of Dragons. That sounds cool. So, see, the issue with Ceuta is it's technically belongs to Spain, which is right here, right? And it's right on the Strait of Gibraltar, very close between Morocco and Spain right there. And what people would do is they would go to Ceuta, they would sneak through the border, and once they're there, they would take a boat to get into Spain, and once they're in Spain, they can travel around Europe. That's a pretty common tactic that a lot of people will do if they're trying to get into Europe illegally. And what they found is as they increased security around this border, it didn't really have a maximum impact on, or a terrible impact. They thought, this will stop people from coming and going, but it really didn't. People still go across the border, and only now they're risking their lives. They're taking small boats or crawling over dangerous fences, and people are dying trying to cross this border. When a couple of decades ago, there was no border security. People came and went between these two countries, and it was not that big a deal. And what I'm saying is security doesn't solve a border crisis. It just makes the crossing more dangerous for people. If we want people to discourage immigration from certain countries, it makes more sense to help them out economically, investing in them, and not seeing them as a place where labor can be exploited. And that's a big issue I have with a lot of criticisms about illegal immigration. No one seems to care about the countries where these people are immigrating from and what situations are there and what role, for instance, the United States may have had in disrupting their local governments. It's just a way of criticizing or criminalizing these people who are really just trying to get to safety and trying to have a better life for them. And yeah, it really frustrates me. Thank you so much, Alex Churchfield. I do pause a lot when I'm researching as well, because here's a little behind the scenes information. Whenever I'm watching one of these videos, one thing that often happens is I'll have to pause about 2 minutes and then get up, walk around, and just like go over my head, like, how can they be so wrong? How did they get all this wrong? And then I'll think like, ooh, what about this? And then I'll rush to my computer and like research stuff and do stuff that's might bolster an argument. Okay, let's go back to the Ben Shapiro video. The educational section is over. Just need a moment here. Okay. Oh wow, almost 800 people watching. This is cool. I'm glad so many people are here, and I hope you're all enjoying it. Let's get back to Shapiro, and I'm sure he's going to say something great.
Okay, and then Joe Biden came to his long-awaited conclusion. This sucker went on for an hour and a half. And it was like listening to
It actually only went on for an hour and like 10 minutes. I don't know why he had to lie like that, but whatever.
An old story from your grandparents, and they're starting to doze off, and you're starting to doze off, and everybody's starting to doze off, and Ted Cruz is starting to doze off, literally.
Okay, I want to talk about that for a second. Ted Cruz sleeping, because like Ben Shapiro had a little laugh, and it's like, oh, great. Like, isn't that funny that he like went to sleep? I'd be kind of pissed off if Ted Cruz was my representative and he went to sleep in the middle of the president's speech. Like, you're my representative. Like, stay awake for an hour. Come on, dude. Like, it obviously it was performative, because like clearly Ted Cruz does not give a shit. Like, he is not. I don't believe that man was like so completely bored by Biden's speech. He went to sleep. He went to go to sleep so he could be talked about the next day as like, go on to sleep during the speech. He doesn't give a crap. But really, his constituents should be pissed off. But then again, they should already have so many reasons not to like him, like running off to Cancun and just being awful and like God. Ted Cruz, right? He's the worst. Anyway, speaking of the worst, let's go back to someone who also is bad.
So he concludes with this. He suggests something so absurd and dystopian that it sort of beggars the imagination. He says that the insurrection was an existential crisis for the democracy. And then he says something about government and America that is just fundamentally untrue.
The insurrection was an existential crisis, a test of whether our democracy could survive, and it did. But the struggle is far from over. The question of whether our democracy will long endure is both ancient and urgent. As old as our republic, still vital today. Our Constitution opens with the words, as trite as it sounds, we the people. Well, it's time to remember that we the people are the government. You and I. Not some force in a distant capital. Not some powerful force that we have no control over. It's us. It's we the people.
This is a fundamental lie. The government is not us. The government is a group of people elected by us to check and balance each other and participate in limited, enumerated powers to protect our individual rights. I am not the government. You are not the government. The government is not me. The government is my agent. And the government...
See, he just got it right there at the very end. So the government is you. They're your representatives. They literally represent you. Ben is making an incredibly pedantic point. Yes, the government is not literally the people, right? Like, you don't get up and go to Washington, D.C. and argue with other people as if you are the government. they are other people. What Biden was saying there, I believe, quite clearly and obviously, is that it's important for the government to represent the interests of the people. When he says, we are you, he means we are your will, so to speak, right? It's not that complicated, but Ben is very upset because he's very pedantic. And I like how angry he is. He's getting all animated. It seems genuine. I think this is like his wheelhouse, when he notices someone didn't dot a T or dash an I, right? Like, no, that was a joke. I did that on purpose. He loves calling out people on these dumb pedantic points, and like that's his career. He's really bad at making the big political ones, but he sure sounds smart to some people anyway. Let's hear the rest of his little rant.
Is supposed to have checks and balances to prevent it from becoming simple mob rule. When he says the government is us, what he means is there should be no obstacles to my utopian and bizarre agenda. That's what he means. He means no checks and balances because, after all, why are you worried about government? Government's you. He means that Joe Biden is me. I'm Joe Biden and Joe Biden is me. And therefore we have a complete confluence of interest because I don't oppose me.
Whew. Joe Biden won the election with a majority of the vote pretty handily. I think it's fair to say that the majority of Americans support Joe Biden. If Ben Shapiro was trying to say that not every American supports him, it's again him being very pedantic. This is it makes me sad to think that people watch this guy and think he's clever. Oh God, this is painful. We're almost done though. Let's go. Let's power through it.
He's a damned liar. The fundamental basis of the Constitution of the United States is that the government is not us, which is why we should worry about what the government does, which is why there should be enumerated powers, which is why checks and balances do matter. It's why we have federalism. It's why we have all of these systems that are designed to prevent the government from invading individual rights. The government is not us because we are individuals. But Democrats hate individuals. They like the we collectively because the we collectively allows them to ram down whatever they damn well please on individuals.
This is a very weird thing to say. The government can only represent the collective, right? Like the entire nation. It can't represent individual interests, or it should not represent individual interests. Otherwise, it's, prone to abuse. And I don't know what point he's trying to make here, aside from the pedantic one. It's very silly. Whatever. Let's keep going.
This is Joe Biden's vision. Okay, this is radicalism dressed up in the guise of an old man wandering around a nursing home. That is Joe Biden's vision for the country, and he's going to go balls out for as long as he is president of the United States.
I'm glad he said balls out. I like how scary it is that Joe Biden is apparently some confused old man wandering around a nursing home, but also doing a radical agenda where he's going to change everything, guys. But also he's senile. It's a common tactic used by fascists. I'm not saying Ben Shapiro is necessarily a fascist, although he seems to be a fan at times, to present your enemies as simultaneously weak and inept, but also nefariously strong. I would never present Ben Shapiro as someone terribly strong or dangerous. He simply works at the behest of strong and dangerous people who finance his career. But he himself is a fool. Let's move out. Let's see how Joe Biden is going balls out. Because that was my favorite part of the video. And it was funny because he didn't intend it to be a joke. I think he just wanted to sound scary or cool, but
this thing. And he does not care. I mean, he is willing to go all the way on this. So I know a lot of people out there like, Joe Biden's not threatening. No, he is deeply threatening. He's deeply threatening specifically because he plays at being non-threatening. Because he seems non-threatening.
Okay, so he's not senile.
But if you actually read that speech, that is the single most radical address to a joint session of Congress of my lifetime. It makes Barack Obama seem like a piker. He wants to spend more money than has ever been created, completely rewrite the nature of the relationship between the federal government and the individual. And he wants to say that he's doing it in your name because the government is you. The government is not you. Joe Biden is not me. I don't want Joe Biden anywhere near anything that belongs to me, including my individual rights, because I don't trust him with any of those things. And you should not either if you have a bone of sanity in your body. The battle for the culture is heating up.
We don't need to hear the ad spot. And I don't know, was anyone convinced by that? First, thank you, Lindsay Spolidoro. I hope I got that. I hope I got that one all right. Definitely the balls out part was the best. God, he's really good at channeling that indignation, even though there's really nothing to be indignant about. It was like listening to that Joe Biden speech, which I did listen to a few days ago because I figured it would come up during the stream at some point. There was a lot of surprisingly good things, but it was all sort of like, I don't know. Being here in Canada, it's a little easier for me to sort of see certain promises as like, oh, you're catching up to the rest of the world and us. Great. Some stuff seemed a little better than what we've got, like with post high school education seemed nice. But radical, really? I mean, in contrasted to Trump and Obama, yeah, I guess you could make that argument. But I would sooner say that someone like Obama was not terribly far left. Then again, Shapiro did call Obama a fascist, so maybe anything to the left of that seems incredibly radical to him. All right, that was the most insane part of Biden's speech. I'm not sure it was that insane, but let's do another one of these because, oh, God. Maybe we want to reflect on this. Maybe we want to think about all the things Ben Shapiro gave us in that 10 minutes of, well, nearly 10 minutes of madness. Did anyone feel moved, or did it touch you in your soul? Yeah, a lot of people talking about the difference between us and we and other pronouns. He's obviously got, he's very particular about pronouns, this Ben Shapiro fellow. Again, I can't get past, like, he had the pedantic point down, but obviously the speech wasn't being literal. It wasn't him literally saying he was other people. I think it's fair to say that he has been someone who has been elected to represent people. I don't know. I don't cover a lot of Ben Shapiro on my channel because, to be honest, he doesn't say much. He usually finds right-wing talking points of the day, repackages them and says them in a very silly and ridiculous way. Ooh, excuse me again. Sometimes he'll give you some sort of great balls out moment, or he'll create an analogy that's really stupid, a la the, why don't people whose houses are underwater just sell them? Really stuff like that seems to be his bread and butter. And I think he's a great example of someone who is manufactured. Like, if you've ever read that article about how his career started, I can give you a brief rundown. Jeremy Boring, who started the Daily Wire with him, who used to work in Hollywood, kind of took him under his wing and manufactured him to be this like whiz kid type conservative. And they got funding from, I want to say a fracking billionaire, but it was someone in the energy industry. And they started up the Daily Wire, and it was all from there. Like, they gave him media training, they gave him a makeover. He was manufactured entirely. And that's what's really depressing about him, because he's like someone you would get out of a box to be a conservative, and he plays his role well enough. But how many people do we really need, or how many people couldn't fill in that role? I mean, you have to find someone dumb enough to believe the things he believes and then say them earnestly, which I guess is a kind of skill. But it really just shows you how low the bar is to become a conservative commentator when you've got that kind of money behind you. I'm sure it exists on the left too. Like, we could probably do something like that, but we just don't have that kind of, we don't have the money for that or the resources, which in some ways makes me glad. I like that it's a little tougher to be a grifter on the left than it is on the right, just because it keeps the quality a little higher. But, God, I wish there was just a way to get rid of grifters like him who aren't even aware that they're grifting. I'm sure he thinks he's very smart and clever and that he was chosen for his ability, but he really is just chosen because he could be trained like a circus animal. And he does these little tricks for his audience who lap it up. Okay, do we want to do another Ben Shapiro video? Let's see what else he's got on his channel here. Whew, I'm gonna leave it open to other people because I don't know. I don't really want to do another one about Biden because sorry, I'm just laughing at that joke about Ben Shapiro being the white noise. That's nice. I guess the tough part is waiting for the stream to catch up as I see people's choices for what we might look at next. I wonder, like, if I can find a better streaming thing to like cut down on this delay, or maybe that's like a setting. I don't know. Because, like, I have no delay, supposedly. Max Exodus. People keep spamming that. I don't know what that is. And thank you, Nomenclature. I don't know if that was intentional. What's mass exodus? Oh, I didn't even see that. Red states gain seats as people flee Democrat-run areas. I think this is probably going to be about the results from the census. I actually have no idea what the census results were. I just know a lot of places lost seats. Thank you, Connor Schaefer. I might do more streams. This is going pretty well, and you keep throwing me money. I may have to do it. I kind of want to choose worst Academy Awards, but I didn't watch the Academy Awards. So I feel like, God, I should have done some homework for this. All right, we're gonna go with Max Exodus because it's only 7 minutes, but red states gain seats as people flee Democrat-run areas. I'm sure this will be like great overall numbers, and I'm gonna probably want to look up the census as we're looking at this. God, here we go.
The states that lost seats: New York, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Ohio, West Virginia, Illinois, and California. Well done. If Republicans don't regain the House in 2022, frankly, y'all should lose your jobs. We now have census numbers. And what the census numbers show is that Americans are now moving. They are voting with their feet. They're moving from states like New York, like California, and they are going to places that are more purple or red. Why? Well, because it is better to live in places that are purple or red. As a recent expatriate from California to Florida, let me tell you, Florida's better.
Wait, he's in Florida? I thought he was going to Tennessee. That's weird. I didn't know that. All right. So some people are saying, oh God, see, I feel someone said I can't refute points in live format. That's absolutely true, especially since I haven't done the homework, but I feel like we can sense it, or maybe we can crowdsource this, but I'm also wary of not giving people good information. One of the big issues I have with streams is that the standards are generally a bit lower because since it's a live environment, the audience is a lot more forgiving and willing to give people the benefit of the doubt if they make simple mistakes. Where with a scripted video, that's less there. And to be honest, I feel like standards are already too low for my scripted videos. I wish people were a little tougher on me at times because I've noticed mistakes I've made that should have been called out. That's my big issue with streaming at the moment and my big concern. So I hope people are... don't be afraid to call me out ever. It's important because it makes me better and then I can produce better content for everyone else. It's how we get better, right? And all right, so let's get back to this.
It is way better. And I'm not the only one because Florida just picked up a congressional seat thanks to the Census Bureau. Texas picked up a couple of congressional seats thanks to the Census Bureau. And by the way, that was actually sort of an underestimate. I mean, most people thought that Florida was going to pick up at least 2, not just 1. But the states that gained are almost entirely purple or red, and the states that lost are almost entirely blue. The sole...
So, like, for instance, he mentions Texas. It wasn't that long ago that Texas was red. It's actually kind of bad, isn't it? Isn't that worrying that it's gaining seats? Maybe this means that increasingly large Hispanic population that tends to vote Democrat might flip the whole state, but okay.
Exception, I believe, there is probably Ohio, which lost a congressional seat, and that is because the Rust Belt has been moving a lot into the Sun Belt. According to the Washington Post, political power in the United States will continue to shift south this decade as historically Democratic states that border the Great Lakes give up congressional seats and electoral votes to regions where Republicans currently enjoy a political advantage, according to new data from the U.S. Census Bureau. Texas, Florida, North Carolina. You wonder why your corporate media in New York and L.A., why they despise Texas and Florida, why they are constantly ripping on Texas and Florida? It's because all of the people who earn money in these states and have the ability to move and don't have their heads so far up their own rectums, it's coming out their head again, are moving away from New York and Connecticut and New Jersey and California, and they are moving instead to states where they can actually live comfortable, nice, free lives. Texas, Florida, and North Carolina, 3 states that voted twice for President Trump, are set to gain a combined 4 additional seats in Congress in 2023 because of population growth, granting them collectively as many new votes in the Electoral College for the next presidential election as Hawaii has in total. So this does...
So what's interesting here is that he's saying people are moving to Texas. He's just describing population growth. Does that have to do with immigration specifically from blue states? I've not seen any evidence of that being presented. So I'm not sure I necessarily believe that. God, I wish I could have I feel like I needed to study the census before watching this video. Because, I mean, how deep does the census get? Does it look at migration patterns? Does it measure that? Let me pull up the U.S. Census. I'm doing it off camera, so you'll have to look at Ben Shapiro. Unfortunately, here let's look at a map of Ceuta again. That's more fun. And I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm just sort of looking at the results here. Maybe I should put that on here. Yeah, that makes more sense, right? So we're looking at the various results, and I don't know. I'm not here seeing anything about how populations move. I'm just sort of seeing... Let me go back to the top. Like this, right? It's just a general count. So yeah, I don't know. This seems kind of strange. A lot of people are leaving California. Okay, maybe that's true. I have no idea. But is that necessarily from the census? This is like anecdotes, right? Yeah. It's funny to think of, though, because when we talk about the rich people of California, isn't that the exact people you wouldn't want moving to Texas? Aren't those the elites on the West Coast? I don't know. He seems to be more interested in twisting whatever data he can find to reinforce his agenda, which is unsurprising. That's sort of his MO. Someone saying if I broke it down by states, I would be able to see. Maybe, but you don't necessarily know which states people are going to. So if certain states are losing population or slowing their population growth versus others that are growing, it could mean something as simple as rates of immigration outside the U.S. are increasing to those states. So when southern states are gaining more population, that could have to do with a lot of growth that comes from south of the border, the American border, obviously. And that might have an influence on the change in the population. But hey, let's get back to this video, because I feel this is where I always feel uncomfortable, because I'm looking at data I've not looked at all. And I hate the idea of being Ben Shapiro back to Ben Shapiro, where it's well, my limited understanding of the data says this, when your limited data understanding of the data says that. And I always try to be wary of that and skeptical. And so yeah, let's take a break from the census data, and let's keep going with this. And no, I'm not an actual bird.
Shift some of the Electoral College math. Not only that, it shifts the nature of the House. Most political prognosticators believe the Republicans, because of that reapportionment, basically just gained 3 seats in the House. Well, Democrats are only up by 5 or 6 seats in the House right now. So that means the Republicans are already, just thanks to the Census Bureau, on the verge of retaking the House of Representatives. Now, that changes based on redistricting in a lot of these states. We know that in New York, for example, there are a bunch of Republican seats in New York. New York is going to redistrict, and they're attempting to get rid of a lot of those Republican seats. But the same thing is presumably true in Republican states down south, which, again, are gaining population. 4 northern states with Democratic governors that President Biden won in 2020, Illinois, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and New York, will each lose a single congressional seat. Ohio will lose 1 seat in Congress. That's the only actual red state that lost a seat, so far as I'm aware. The data released Monday was better for the Democrats than expected. Earlier Census Bureau estimates had suggested congressional gains in Florida and Texas would be even bigger. The margins in certain states that determined the final congressional counts were razor thin. New York lost a seat because of a shortfall of only 89 people. So thank you to hero of the Republic, Governor Andrew Cuomo, the greatest of all governors. It turns out that killing your own population, as well as raising taxes, making life basically unlivable in your state, led to the loss of a congressional seat in your state.
God, if Ben Shapiro hates politicians who are responsible for a lot of COVID deaths, he must really hate Donald Trump. Anyway, so, God, it's honestly hard to listen to him sometimes. It's just mush. And he's just reading out an article, which is so lazy. I was reluctant to pull up that census data because I'm like, am I just going to look at a web page on stream and read the results? That seems boring. But like, this is his prepared content. He records this ahead of time. Oh, God. I kind of want to go to a different video at this point, but let's give this one another minute. If it doesn't, I can't. God, I don't know if I'm really saying anything interesting here for this video either. So it's like, I want to give you people good content, not Ben Shapiro-esque content.
The release marked the start to a constitutionally mandated effort to redraw congressional districts across the country in advance of the 2022 election, a tangled, litigious process likely to benefit Republican office holders more than Democratic ones next year. Frankly, if Republicans don't regain the House in 2022, given Joe Biden's performance, given the fact that they are the out-of-power party in an off-year election, and given the fact that Republican states are gaining seats in the Census Bureau reapportionment, if they somehow fail to regain the House in 2022, that is an act of extraordinary incompetence. And this is not a secret. I've told as many Republican legislators as I can find, and that's many of them since I recently spoke at a House Republican caucus meeting. I told them, if you guys don't retake the House in 2022, frankly, y'all should lose your jobs. So
the point here isn't terrible in the sense that the party out of power tends to do better in the midterm elections in the U.S. Historically, that's the case. Gaining seats should help the Republicans. The issue is, I think in the next election is, will Trump's base turn out to vote for Republicans? Because they've had some issues with Republican voters leaving the party, which is a big problem. Without Trump on the ballot, that seems to hurt the Republicans overall. For all intents and purposes, the Republican Party is now Trump's party, which, like, oh, God, what a place to be in, huh? So, yeah, if he isn't on the ballot, that seems like that hurts Republican enthusiasm a lot. They seem to be uninterested if he's not there. So that could hurt them as well. But, God, I feel like we're getting way too deep into electoralism here. So let's just finish off this video quickly.
Because this is a target-rich environment politically for you. Joe Biden is running up massive debt, massive deficits. He's proposed $10 trillion in spending this year so far. Okay, so, you guys, you have a lot of room to run here. All of this is a stark threat to Democratic control of the House, which will rest on a 7-vote margin with 4 outstanding vacancies once newly elected Representative Troy Carter, Democrat of Louisiana, takes office in the coming weeks. The results show that the country grew over the past decade by the second slowest rate in history, owing to an aging population, decreased fertility, and slowing immigration. A slightly lower rate of growth was recorded between 1930 and 1940. So the downturn, thanks to COVID itself, which killed off a lot of people, the fact that people aren't having babies, particularly in urban centers, what this is leading to is a slowing of growth in the United States, which actually is a serious problem for a country that continues to take on debts that there will be no one alive to pay. Right now, the redistricting landscape is of heavy advantage to Republicans. There are many, many states.
He's just going to read the article, isn't it? This is super dull. He's not even adding his own commentary. I want to hear Ben Shapiro's stupid commentary, not him reading someone else's article. So I'm going to say that's it for this video. because it's literally just him reading an article. And I always get annoyed at this. I always think like the gall of you finding an article online and just reading it to people and presenting this as if it's your content, your commentary, when you're just like, so-and-so said blah, 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 blah. And then you stop and go like, and I've been saying this, that the Republicans should win if they listen to me. And then he goes back to reading the article and it's like, why not just put in a little effort, do some actual analysis, and not just read someone's article? God. And yeah, he's ignoring immigration being cited because it hurts his argument. He doesn't have much of an argument, and I wonder if he actually cares about what he's doing sometimes. Sure, the Oscars video. Let's do that. Yeah, let's go. The worst Academy Awards of all time, 2021 Oscars. Let's go to where he actually says, because I feel like this is like copyright issued, maybe. Oh God, is he doing a bit? So, what people don't know about film or Ben Shapiro, I think, is that he's a bit of a film buff. This is something you kind of get when you see when you watch his content. He loves to make references to film. On Twitter, he'll make film jokes, and wow, just his opinions on film are so boring, so uninteresting. I remember that lead up to the Run, Hide, Fight premiere, he and the other Daily Wire crew were talking about film and movies, and when they weren't complaining about how Hollywood hates them and their audience, they would talk about what they think makes a good movie, and it was just so boring. It could just be a Hollywood blockbuster, but from like the 1980s or 90s, and like that's it. That's like the breadth of their culture and their knowledge and appreciation of film. It's really bad, really bad. So to everyone asking, I did not watch the Oscars. I usually don't. I don't even know it was nominated this year. The last movie I watched was Detective Pikachu, so you can tell I am a clear, cultured person. I only watch the highest form of entertainment, like a movie that answers the question, what would Pokemon look like in 3D? Like, isn't that interesting, huh? No, I'm actually more of a TV guy, as you might have guessed. Like hence all the sitcoms I cover, and God, most of what I've been watching TV has been for the next sitcom video. But I did watch Your Honor, which was pretty good, and that's a miniseries starring Bryan Cranston, for those who are unfamiliar. And I think I watched something else, but I clearly have forgotten it. And okay, let's do the worst Academy Awards of all time video.
As per usual, the show ran well over 3.
I guess that was a joke. What? Like he fell down. Okay. Let's continue.
Hours. That is with no musical performances and no host. To save you the time, we're going to cover all the lowlights. This video is sponsored by ExpressVPN.
We're not doing your ad spot, Ben. He mentioned there was no host. That actually sounds good, because I've never been a fan of host Fox. We're just like, read the damn awards. The musical performances are very hit or miss. I've never actually enjoyed, but it is any of the musical performance. But if something is nominated for best song, I do like seeing those performed, so you can get a sense of like who's nominated. All right, let's go.
Make, which no average American saw. The number of people who saw it combined, any of the Oscar-nominated films could fit inside a small phone booth. So
that's a really bad argument. The fact that people have or have not watched a movie has no bearing on its quality or its, whether or not the Academy likes it. And this has been an issue for the Oscars since forever. I always hate it when they put in like big commercial movies to grab attention, because it's like, we want people to show up, so let's put in Avengers so that people can watch it lose. What's the point? Just be honest. I don't have a high opinion of the Academy, but I at least want them to tell me what their favorites are, and I will continue not caring, I guess.
Here were your Best Picture nominees. I'm sure you've seen every one of these. I will admit to you freely, I have seen 0 of these movies. Nor have I real interest in seeing any of these movies. So,
Fun fact, I've heard Ben Shapiro say on previous videos that one thing he always does every year is watch every movie nominated for Best Picture in the Academy Awards because he's such a big film buff. But I guess his like personal little thing there had to go out the window so he could like show to his audience how he's standing up to liberal Hollywood. Well, that's nice when you sacrifice your own personal pleasures just to please your audience. Really brave of him. And let's get a rundown of the movies I didn't watch either. So, like Ben, I'm also haven't watched these, and I'm sure he's going to give us a very fair appraisal.
The Father, a movie about a man with Alzheimer's and what it's like to be a person with Alzheimer's. It's a real
Sounds
picker-upper.
interesting.
Judas.
Okay, like it's a real picker-upper. Like that's, oh God, that's not a criticism. Didn't Anthony Hopkins win for that? That sounds like it could be really good. Anthony Hopkins is a fantastic actor. That'd be a heavy movie to watch. But like, there's nothing wrong with that, right? I like sad movies sometimes. A lot of sad movies are good. And just looking at the poster of Judas and the Messiah and the Black Messiah, I can sense Ben Shapiro. He's gonna have so many lovely things to say. Let us know what you think about this one, Ben.
And the Black Messiah, in which we learned that the Black Panthers were actually the best thing that ever happened in America.
Not the best thing, but they were actually pretty good. I actually just read a really cool little history of the Black Panthers. It was actually presented as a comic. Let me see if I can pull it out. I'll give you a book recommendation. And if you're in Toronto, it's actually in the library, so you can even get it for free. Of course, when you look up Black Panther, you get a lot of comics of the Black Panther, which are also good. I'm going to tell you my fun Black Panther story, but I want to show you the cool... there we go. I'm just finding the title of the book. It is titled The Black Panther Party, a graphic novel history. I'm just trying to find a good picture of it. I guess we'll use the publisher's website. Sure. So this is the book. I guess I'm advertising them for free now. But I just read this from the library. It was really good because it was a very complete picture of the Black Panther Party. It wasn't just glowing hagiography of how they're great and everything is lovely about them. It highlighted the good qualities, things like the school lunch program, but also some of the limitations, particularly in the earlier days of the party where there was a lot of resistance to letting women have places of leadership, something that changed over time within the Black Panther Party, which is a great example of how this organization grew and changed. And yeah, great book. And an important part of history. They often get vilified by the types like Ben Shapiro because they were doing something very important, which was standing up for Black communities when they were obviously, they didn't have any representation or anyone fighting for them in the establishment. And yeah, fantastic series, or fantastic book. You should check it out if you want a simple, accessible look at the Black Panther Party. I really liked it. And also, fun joke. Here's a joke about Black Panther. This isn't a joke. It's a short story about the original Black Panther comic book because I feel like I have to mention it because it was so funny. So there was when the series first started, it was in a book called Jungle Adventures, which is I bet you didn't expect me to be talking about the Black Panther comic. Let's put something up. Sure, Panther's Rage. And Don McGregor was the writer for Black Panther, and he really did a lot of the early world building for what Wakanda is and what it was all about. And one of the early complaints about the Black Panther comic is from at least editorial. It spoke to Don McGregor about this, that there were too many Black people in this comic. They're like, can you introduce like some white characters in this story set in Africa featuring the Black Panther? So he decided to move it to New York, I believe. He had the Black Panther visiting Harlem, and he introduced a bunch of new white characters, but they were all in the Klan, and they were all really racist. And he's like, well, you wanted some white characters, so here are your white characters. And I thought that was really fun. Anyway, that was just a fun little aside. Now we go back to the horrors of this video. Gary Oldman in Mank. Okay. I kind of groan whenever I see Gary Oldman because he's not great. He's I don't know, he's had some bad takes over the years, hasn't he? But he's a fantastic actor. I can't in any way undermine his ability. But sure, let's hear what Ben Shapiro has to say about this.
A self-indulgent film about Herman Mankiewicz and why the 1940s were great and why the 1950s were great, why all these movies were great, but we don't make those movies anymore, so we'll just make a movie about making the movies. Minari.
So he's really upset about this, the studio there, I guess. Mank is actually the guy, I believe, who wrote Citizen Kane. He's like the, I think, grandfather of Ben Mankiewicz, he's been on The Young Turks. Yeah, he is. He's one of the guys there, but he's also the host of Turner Classic Movies. Interesting guy and an interesting period of time for filmmaking. I don't know why you can't celebrate the old days, and Ben wants him to come back, but he won't support a movie that supports that era of filmmaking. I don't know what his point is there. I'm not sure he knows. I think he just tries to say something like snippy and pointed to sound like, he's insulting something, even though his insults don't really make sense. Excuse me, I'm being a little burpy here. I hope those aren't being caught.
The story of an Asian American family attempting to make it in the United States and really about the evils of the American system. Nomadland.
Okay, he didn't really insult it, he just kind of described it, but it's like a description of a movie I guess his audience wouldn't like about an Asian American family making it in the US. Someone just described it about being the American dream from an immigrant's point of view, which, like, isn't that supposedly something he supports? I don't know. I actually love stories about immigrants in general. Maybe it's because my family were immigrants. I was born in Canada, but my parents are very much immigrants. They speak with accents and everything. And it's very weird how you can relate to the stories of different immigrants, even if they're from a completely different culture. For instance, I really enjoy the show Kim's Convenience, not just because of the usual, like, oh, it's in Toronto and so am I. It's like I'm there. That's funny. But it's, it's that immigrant experience, that weird disconnect you feel from your parents who represent this other culture. But in the other way, it's like when you visit that culture, like when I do visit my family back in Spain, it's weird how you fit in there, but you also fit in here. It's like you're from two different kinds of cultures. And that tension in some way makes me appreciate both a little bit more. And I don't know. I love stories like that because I love learning about other cultures, and I love learning about how people have that tension and balance. And I think it's an interesting experience, and one that's very unique to the, or let's just say unique, not very unique, to recent history, because immigration has become a much more common thing in the last few centuries. And I just love hearing about it. And for someone asking, I did say Spain, although my mother is actually from Portugal. My dad is from Spain. Where specifically, I won't go in that detail because, well, if people knew, my dad is from a very small town. I'll put it like that. And I'd basically be doxing myself if I said which town, because then people are like, oh, only 500 people live there, which is true. Let's see what he thinks about Nomadland, which a lot of people have been telling me to watch, and it's been very warmly recommended to me, but I have not watched it. I haven't watched any of these.
About a 65-year-old woman pooping in a bucket. She's white, promising young...
A 65-year-old woman who pooped in a bucket. It's like Ben was there and saw the whole thing. Oh, God. First off, just to answer Martin Moosley, who asked about the source for the Black Panther has too many black people. It was written in the introduction to one of the trades. God, I think it was Panther's Rage. It was one of the earlier ones. I wish I could remember which one it was exactly. But Don McGregor was the one who told that story, I believe. Or was the editor at the time, maybe. But yeah, and keep in mind this was back in the 1970s. So it's not a surprising result. So, an old woman who poops in a bucket. He's trying to be dismissive, but it's like, I'm intrigued. Like, why is she pooping in the bucket? What is going on here? Actually, no, I don't think I'd watch a movie about that. But it's about more than that. He's just trying to denigrate a movie he hasn't seen, which is kind of shitty to do. See, Ben, I talk shit about him all the time, but I've actually watched his content. I read his stupid book. I read his stupid collection of short stories. So I feel like I'm entitled to be snarky about them. I don't think you should be snarky about movies you haven't seen unless you have a deep understanding of the people who make them, I guess. Maybe that's a good reason. Like, I don't watch every Zack Snyder film, but every Zack Snyder film I've watched sucks. So I feel confident saying that zombie heist movie he's got coming on Netflix will probably suck. Whew, okay. What does he think of Promising Young Woman? I'm sure he's going to think it's great.
Young Woman, about how women are routinely date raped. Sound of Metal.
Right. So sexual assault and rape actually is depressingly common. I mean, I'm not surprised Ben Shapiro doesn't have women in his life who would say something to that, like that, because I don't know. I don't even like making jokes about this sort of things. Because I don't know. I have a lot of female friends who like tell me stories about things like this. Not a ton, but a few have like sort of given me that level of trust, which is very touching that someone would do that. And it bothers me when people are so flippant about it, when women have had to be silent about this sort of thing so long, and it's something they shouldn't be silent about because it's a serious problem. Also, hey to, I assume, Lance, who is on Surf's Time, just because I think Dave has gone into hiding. Or not, I don't know. What's up, the Surf's Time, if we're going by your gimmick name, because I feel like doing gimmick names today. Let's hear what Ben thinks of Sound of Metal.
About a heavy metal drummer losing his hearing, and also we learn about the evils of the American healthcare system and trial of...
That actually sounds interesting. Being a musician who loses his hearing, and in heavy metal too. Oof, that's really gonna hurt. It'd be interesting just to hear a story of how like the hearing, does it like stop all at once or does it gradually fade? Because heavy metal is so loud. It'd be interesting if like his hearing was so bad that all he could hear was the faint sound of heavy metal, and he's like trying to hold on to that experience for as long as he can as his ears slowly fade over time, and he can't hear anything except when he's on that stage, and it means so much to him. Oh my God, I'm writing a movie right here and it sounds so good. Ooh, and yeah, the American healthcare system sucks. I don't know. That sounds like a good movie. And oh, the trial of the Chicago 7. I can see it through the blur. I'm certain Ben is going to be like, ooh, what an important documentary or movie based on like real events about systemic racism, blah, blah, blah. Of course that he's going to hate it.
The Chicago 7, a second movie about how America is deeply racist and Black Panthers were kind of awesome. So,
whoa, yeah, cool.
Oh, if that sounds like just an evening to you, you just grab one of those movies and you make an evening of it.
Find anything interesting? Rocks!
The number of people who saw any of these movies, 0.
Again, he's sort of putting on this like people don't want to watch these movies. It's like no one wanted to watch his stupid movie, Run, Hide, Fight. Like I think I've brought it up more times in this stream than anyone on the internet has brought it up in the last month. Like that video on my channel, it blew up in that first month because everyone was talking about it, and then it just stopped. It stopped getting views because no one cared. And that's kind of fun, isn't it? To know that Ben Shapiro doesn't know anything about movies and that his own little project is failing. Or well, I should say the movie he's chosen to distribute first with his little studio. But I'm just being petty and mean when I say stuff like that. I want to hear Ben's thoughts about filmmaking, Hollywood movies, because this is going to be good.
So now we are going to go through the show, the highlights and the lowlights. There were no highlights, spoiler alert. First, we had the opening monologue from Regina King, who always looked stellar, but said some weird things about COVID.
Where is he looking? Like, I guess he's waiting for the clip to turn on? Like, but this is prepared content, Ben. Just...
People have been vaxxed, tested, retested, socially distanced, and we are following all of the rigorous protocols that got us back to work safely.
That sounds good.
So, just like on a movie set, when we're
I like this image right here where he's looking like, he was like looking to the side. Now he's looking at us like, Oh, God. I don't know why they needed a screen in the studio if he's not doing this live. He doesn't need to react to it live. They can just splice it in, can't they? Or does he do this live? I have no idea. This is a clip.
rolling, masks off. And when we're not rolling, masks on. All right? That's how we do it.
So I have a question. Why? If everybody has been vaxxed and everybody has been tested, why are you wearing masks?
Whew. Okay, so the funny thing about vaccines is they aren't 100% effective. I believe the COVID vaccines are something like 95% effective, so it's still possible to get it even if you've been vaccinated. It's just uncommon. And there's also the fact that, you know, I believe, I feel uncomfortable now saying this, but that a virus can still be spread even if someone is not feeling the symptoms. That is, the vaccine will prevent you from feeling the symptoms of COVID, but you might still be carrying it, and you might be asymptomatic, I guess. But then there's the question of asymptomatic transfer, and I don't know how bad that is. Anyway, they're on TV, and I think they're being good role models to people by wearing masks, because we all know that masks, especially indoors, are good at slowing down transmission of COVID. And of course, this video about Hollywood is turning into a thing about COVID because Ben just wants to be wrong about it for as long as he possibly can. And just go. Let's just go.
When the cameras go off. Does COVID care about when the cameras are on or when the cameras are off? Like it's connected with the wiring in some way? And the answer, of course, is that this is all mask theater for these people, all of whom have been vaccinated and all of whom have been tested. So this is...
Yeah. So I don't see the problem with them performing theater of the theater of responsible pandemic behavior. So yeah, I don't see the problem with that. But Ben is very upset.
It's all very, very silly. Also, quick note, California made all sorts of provisions so that Hollywood can continue to produce films, but your small business had to be shut down. You could not even put a table in front of your restaurant, because if you put a table in front of your restaurant and people ate outdoors, then you might spread the virus. But Hollywood could have a food truck directly outside of a production set, and that was totally fine. So all these people, they are the most virtuous among you, and yes, they did get special dispensations so they could continue to practice their careers while yours was ruined.
Thank you, Plishpon. And as for that remark, I don't know what to say. Hollywood is a very big industry with a lot of money, and that might mean they have more influence amongst the government. Congratulations to Comrade Ben for noticing that one. But there's also a difference between having a food truck and running a restaurant, of course. He speaks in these like weird anecdotes. I don't know what the actual policy is, so it's kind of annoying. But there's a difference, right, between a small business, like a small restaurant, letting people inside, which might be the difference between putting it outside. I don't know. But hey, I'm not going to defend the state government of California, because clearly Ben is very upset about state government.
Tell me that this is dangerous, but right next to me as a slap in my face, this is safe, 50 feet away.
Best Supporting Actor was Daniel Kaluuya. He won for Judas and the Black Messiah, a movie you haven't seen, but you'll remember him from Get Out, a movie that you may have seen.
I definitely saw Get Out because that was a very good movie, and a lot of people watched that, right? Didn't like everyone watch Get Out? It was like one of the highest grossing horror movies of the year, or one of the highest grossing movies of the year it came out. It was really good. I really liked it. Although I feel like people liked it more than me, which happens sometimes.
Huey P. Newton, Bobby Seale, the Black Panther Party, they showed me how to love myself.
Okay, so first of all, quick note on the Black Panther Party. Many of those people suggested that only freedom came out of the barrel of a gun. Many of them were engaged in criminal activities. The kind of...
Again, he's not being very specific. The use of firearms in the Black Panther Party is actually very complicated, and it was very symbolic. They weren't going around shooting up people, right? It was a question of how the idea of black people sort of taking up arms to defend themselves from police violence is a form of protest. It's a form of expressing a type of discrimination within the system, right? Like, I don't know. I would think Ben would be really upset that these Americans' rights to bear arms are being infringed upon. Yeah. Okay, let's get a great rundown of the Black Panthers.
Rewriting of American history so that MLK was the bad guy and Malcolm X and the Black Panthers were the good guy.
So Malcolm X didn't really work with the Black Panthers. Like, he was affiliated with the Nation of Islam, and God, Malcolm X is one of those very complicated, very interesting figures. And I'm personally a bigger fan of Malcolm X than I am of Martin Luther King Jr. because I think one of the big distinctions between the two that's really important is that while Martin Luther King Jr. was very, his arguments were very much based on the idea of the rights of Americans being trampled upon. That is, Americans' rights belong to all Americans, not just white Americans, but also black Americans. And that's the big issue he took. It's like the United States not fulfilling its promise of being a land of opportunity for all of its citizens. With Malcolm X, I think he was a lot more interested in, particularly later in his life, although he sadly did not live very long, towards the idea of black liberation being a global movement. So while the two men certainly respected each other, one was focused on a country, whereas Malcolm X was focused more on the global movement, because obviously the United States is not the only part of the world where black people are in trouble. It's not the only part. It's not the only area where people are being discriminated against, particularly if you look at the history of colonialism in Africa, which was something that was happening in the 20th century and even kind of now in the 21st century. But it was truly awful, some of the conditions in Africa at the time, and other parts of the world. That's why I kind of appreciate Malcolm X. He sort of presents this vision of leftism that I think is really important. And I think the future of our movement needs that kind of thing. This idea of a global idea of leftism. So, yeah. And let's go. And also the people pointed out, yes, they were socialists. Yeah, I would never deny that. Socialism was a big part of Martin Luther King's preaching, which is something that conservatives often forget. And they're happy to throw Malcolm X right under the bus, because obviously that's how they roll.
It's kind of astonishing.
Sorry I had a fight in the middle of your Black Panther party.
Pretty soon we'll
I don't know why we saw that Forrest Gump clip, but
tear down the statues of MLK at some point. Also, quick note on Daniel Kaluuya's address. He actually says at one point he wants to thank his parents for having had sex and creating him, which is actually, I guess, a pro-life sentiment, although an awkward one. Here are the award winners for Best Makeup for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. The makeup in that movie is really quite spectacular, but they got so caught up in their happiness that they forgot the statue on stage.
Oh, she forgot the statue.
And that's kind of how the evening was, frankly.
Wait, that's how the evening was? Like someone forgot their statue? What a minor criticism. It's so unimportant. Someone forgot their statue, and that really represents the whole evening. Someone forgot their statue, and then they went back to get it. Oh, wow. He's really running on fumes, isn't he? Anyway, it's good to know he's got so little for this.
Here were the winners of the Best Short Film Award. And apparently they got their suits directly from the same place where Joe Pesci got his tux in My Cousin Vinny. They wore this
is turning
ridiculous
into,
thing for use.
On average, the police in America every day kill 3 people,
review,
which amounts to about 1,000 people a year. And those people happen to disproportionately be black people. And You know, James Baldwin once said, the most despicable thing a person can be is indifferent to other people's pain. And so I just ask that you please not be indifferent. Please, don't be indifferent to our pain.
Okay, I have a question.
He's about to be indifferent to their pain. I can sense it.
How many of those people are criminals that the police kill every day?
Ooh, that's a really bad question to ask, because the police actually, they're not in charge of executing people, right? First of all, I don't believe in capital punishment at all. But if you do have a legal system with capital punishment, people should go through due process. The idea that cops are shooting anyone should be seen as a failure of some kind within the police force. They should always be trying to apprehend people so they can be tried. And I'm aware, like, maybe a cop's life might actually be in danger, right? That could happen. But, God, to ignore that really good statement about police violence and to sort of flip it on the victims just like that. That's classic Ben Shapiro, isn't it? How many are criminals? We'll never know, Ben. We'll never know because they never had their day in court. So I'm looking forward to see how he follows up on this.
When he says 3 people are killed every day, that's not 3 black people who are killed every day. That's 3 people killed every day. Most of whom, actually, by plurality, are white. As far as the proportionality, you actually have to identify the proportionality with regard to the crime rate, not with regard to the population.
So you actually don't do that? I think that's a big... so saying, like, white people are the majority, and, like, he immediately moves on to proportionality, because that's a very dumb argument to say, like, because, of course, there are more white people in the country, so they're more likely to be the victims. And proportionally, black people are more likely to be victims if you take that into account. Thank you, Half a Grape. I like all the ones there. When I was a kid, I'd always look for 11:11 on the clock and make a wish. So that reminds me of that. So anyway, getting back to the idea that black people are more likely to commit crimes, I don't like this song and dance because it takes so long to just get to the heart of this. What do you mean when you say this? Like, well, black people are more likely to commit crimes. Do you think that black people are just more genetically inclined to committing crimes? Or do you think there is some sort of cultural condition that leads to higher crime rates within certain communities? I am more inclined to the latter option, that is to say, the socioeconomic realities and the very historical fact of oppression has created the conditions which make a community more inclined to committing crimes. But whenever I hear Ben talking about this, I hear more discussion about personal responsibility, as if it's just a choice. And that always raises the question, is why are people making those choices? Is it because they were, like, born with faculties that limit their ability to make choices or make them more inclined to make bad choices? Or is it, again, going back to the social reality as to why people decide to do certain things, right? So the whole idea, well, like, black people just commit more crime, it's really still ignoring the whole idea of that there might be a systemic explanation for why that's happening, right? That's what Ben Shapiro is trying to conflate here, because he does not like examining systems. He'd rather create this gap of knowledge with comments about personal responsibility and let bigots fill in the blanks. Because I don't think he would ever say black people are genetically inferior, but certainly some of the people who share his talking points have and do continue to say that. So let's continue.
Statistics, because otherwise the suggestion is that the police are wildly pro-Asian, since very few Asian people are killed in confrontations with the police. But again, facts and stats don't matter. All that matters is emoting on stage. We'll get back to this.
I like how you wanted a statistical breakdown. So why do Asian people get represented less in crime stats, right? Like, people always present Asian people as the model minority. One of the interesting things about Asian immigration is that it's usually the people who come are choosing to come, and they do face discrimination and racism as well. I would never deny that, and it's certainly a difficult road for them to establish themselves in a new country. But it's not the same as a group of people who are brought here against their will, who have literally nothing. They aren't immigrating with even the clothes on their back, basically. Their culture is taken apart. Their families are broken up. And every time they try and pull themselves up, there are like systems in place to tear them back down. And we have to keep in mind that Asian immigration is relatively recent. It's not something that, well, I mean, the first law in the U.S., I believe, was the Asian Exclusion Act, keeping Asian immigration down. So there you go. But there really just isn't any consideration for nuance in this discussion, unless you're trying to suggest that Asian culture is inherently more successful and just better for some reason. For some reason, like why, huh? Why? Why would this community do better? Perhaps there's a historical reason. Perhaps there's a reason why these societies are, or these communities are structured a certain way. Ben never really gives us that level of analysis because he'd rather think in more essential terms, I guess. But let's skip ahead to get past this ad. I don't know what or did I skip ahead it?
Riveting take on the 93rd Academy Awards in just 1 second. A few decades ago, unless you use Express, by other Express, my information is safe.
It's a fun fact. I think I got it. No, wait, I've never done a spot for ExpressVPN. When I was making fun of Ben Shapiro's book, I did an ad spot for NordVPN, and Nord also advertised on his show. I think that's fun. I think that's a fun fact. Let's get past this. Okay, we're back.
And not only to remember, just refuse hate. Don't hate anybody. I refuse to hate someone because they are Mexican or because they are black or white. Or
that's all very like simple and milquetoast. I wonder how Ben's gonna get upset about this.
LBGTQ. I refuse to hate someone because they are a police officer. I refuse to hate someone because they are Asian. I would hope that we would refuse hate.
Yeah, it's actually a nice sentiment.
Oh,
it really is.
agree.
And by the way, the unspoken assumption that he's sort of making there.
Ooh, I like how he's talking about what's unspoken.
The unspoken story that he's telling is that his mother grew up in a time with Emmett Till, and here he is standing receiving a humanitarian award on one of the most watched programs on planet Earth. So that's kind of an amazing transition. It says something about how far America has come since those days. Tyler Perry said, I refuse to hate white folks, I refuse to hate black folks, I refuse to hate cops. Good for him. Seriously, good for him. So apparently coming out of one of the commercial breaks.
Nothing snippy, Ben? Oh, you're letting me down, dude. You're softening up. This is actually well done, I guess. I can't believe I'm giving Ben Shapiro credit for oh, that's a nice sentiment. I mean, it doesn't address the real problems that still exist, but I think it's okay to acknowledge progress when it's been made and is good. Yeah.
Questlove, who is kind of the quasi-host of the show because they can't have real hosts anymore since Kevin Hart made a bad joke on Twitter 10 years ago. Apparently he was playing songs and people had to guess whether that song had been previously Oscar nominated or won an Oscar. And that led to this bizarre moment in which Glenn Close danced to Booty, I believe is what it is.
You gotta do
God,
the butt. Quest turn up. Come on, let's see.
I want to see Glenn Close dance. How does she dance? Not too bad. She's having fun. He's upset. He's upset. He doesn't like seeing women dance.
Yep.
What's
got nothing there?
What was wrong with that? She was having an older lady having a good time. It wasn't particularly explicit. God, he's such a prude.
From boiling rabbits to doing to Booty. It's been a career. So if you thought that...
The funny thing is, Glenn Close is actually a very accomplished actress who's been in more movies than I can count. She's actually had a good career, unlike Ben, which is... I hope everyone appreciates the irony. Just let the old lady have fun, Ben. Come on.
Glenn Close was not great doing debut. Angela Bassett showed up and gave a terrible performance, actually just reading the monologue before the In Memoriam segment. It really was chewing the scenery.
We want to celebrate the artists who gave us permission to dream. The technical pioneers and innovators who expanded our experience of movie love. Let us as one community say, thank you. You will remain as we remember you in our hearts always.
Whoa. Razzie for performance on that one. That's the worst overacting I've seen since Al Pacino in Heat.
I mean, she was just reading it. Like, I don't know. She had to do it with some passion, and I don't know if that really counts as acting, but Al Pacino in Heat. I've actually never seen Heat, but I feel like I should, but I'm past the point in my life where it's mandatory. Like, if you were a young man, I feel like that was a movie you had to watch. When I say young, like in high school. Because, like, it's Heat, bro. You got to watch Heat. And then I'm like, okay. But then I didn't. Anyway, let's hear this clip from Heat.
You got a great ass!
So, after Nomadland won Best Picture, they handed off the microphone to Frances McDormand, who is not all with us anymore, sadly. And it got weird.
We give this one to our wolf.
I think that's a reference to the movie.
Well, they say that being a great actor means having zero inhibition. So Frances McDormand won another Best Actress Oscar last night. That would be her third, which puts her in some pretty rare company in sort of the acting community. And she gave a speech. This is Frances McDormand, Best Actress winner for I Pooped in a Bucket.
I have no words.
Don't laugh at your own joke, Ben.
My voice is in my sword. We know the sword is our work. And I like work. Thank you for knowing that. And thanks for this.
So she has no words. The words are in the sword. The sword is the work. She likes the work. The work is about a trailer.
So that fifth point is obviously one he's adding in, but like if it's not that tough to figure this stuff out. When she says she has no words, it means she can't express herself in the moment with her own words. Her words are in her sword. Her sword is a metaphor for her acting ability. Her sword is in her work. That's what she means, and she loves her work. She loves to express herself with her acting. It's not that hard. It's not that hard to figure this out. But Ben is like presenting this as some sort of difficult, like inscrutable fact. It is not that difficult to understand, people.
The trailer has a bucket. She pooped in the bucket. That's what I got there. So there you have it. A bunch of very rich and famous people giving themselves awards for being rich and famous. We should all pray that next year is better. Until then, maybe we can actually go see some movies that we want to see as opposed to watching people win awards for movies no one has seen.
It'd be nice if he told us the movies he thinks people should see. Presumably the one he put out, but like, what else? Like, why? All right, that was his review of the Oscars, and it was the worst one ever because, why? Because they talked about COVID, they talked about racial injustice, someone forgot an award, there was a badly dressed pair of guys, he didn't like Angela Bassett's reading of something, he thought Frances McDormand was weird, and he hadn't seen any of the movies nominated. I feel like these are all really petty and uninteresting, but I think Ben, of course, has to play up his rage because that's sort of his MO. What do people think about this award show or this video responding to the award show? Did anyone actually watch the Oscars? Does anyone think Ben is accurately reflecting it? I know like the ratings were really low for the Oscars this year, some of the lowest ever. I think it's because the Oscars are just increasingly irrelevant. Did anyone like the poop in the bucket joke that he said, 3-4 times? Like, it was, at best, that first one. But even that was like, it made me more curious than amused. Like, she poops in a bucket? Why does she poop in a bucket? And, okay. I'm just reading some comments now. Thank you for all the people who are saying lovely things about the stream, my videos. I might do more of these in the future. And how long are we going to go today? I was thinking until 5. Is like 3 hours a good length for stream? How's my voice holding up? So, also happy May Day, everyone. I should have said that earlier. One of the things about recording videos that you all probably don't know is that when I'm recording particularly like a sitcom video, I end up speaking for 2-3 hours straight and my voice is just shot at the end and I get very low and raspy and I think it makes my voice sound super sexy, and I wish I could record my videos when my voice sounded like that and not after I'm done recording, but it's a fun thing, huh? That's just a fun behind the scenes fact I'm sure you all were thrilled to hear. So I think a lot of, reading some of these comments, yeah, not a lot of people seem to be excited about it. I am drinking water, by the way, to keep myself hydrated. I'm drinking this like bizarre vitamin water that my mom gave me a few days ago. She decided I need groceries. That was nice of her, but I kind of don't like it when she does that. I like shopping for my own groceries. One thing about the Oscar is that I know that My Octopus Teacher won. That was the thing. I was in Maggie Mae Fish's video for that, about it seeming like it wasn't a movie about exploring nature, but more about a movie where a guy annoys an octopus for a year and the octopus loses an arm and it's home and it just has a bad time because this guy will not leave it alone. And I think Maggie Mae Fish's video for that is really good and fun. And I did a very long reading for that. I think I read it for, I read like 2 minutes or 2 or 3 minutes of from an excerpt from a Douglas Adams book, I want to say. I don't know where it came from, but it was a really good excerpt. And if I didn't enjoy Maggie's video so much, I never would have read something that long. But it was fun. And I was so disappointed to see that win the Oscar. I don't even know what it was up against. Okay, we can do one more video, I guess. One more Ben Shapiro video. Was there anything like... Oh God, Larry Elder. That just got dropped. I'll leave it up to you to see what people think about the next one. Oh, the guy's son didn't sign his release to be in the movie? Ooh, interesting. It sounded like, because like that whole premise was like, I'm going to take a year off to spend some time with my son. And by spend my time with my son, I mean dive in the ocean to annoy an octopus. It sounds like that guy doesn't want to spend time with his son. And yeah, and it's this really problematic notion of how we anthropomorphize nature and try to make it about us. We can do that, just, dress up in a giant dinosaur suit and make it an allegory to human life. Okay. Wow, everyone wants that LeBron one, right? Where's the LeBron video? Why don't I see it? What's the title? I can't see it, apparently. Oh, there it is. Ben Shapiro slams LeBron over an insane tweet. Okay, I'll read it properly. Shapiro slams LeBron over insane tweet. If I ever do all caps in a title for one of my videos, please remind me of this moment. And I'm not doing Larry Elder. Larry Elder's boring. His shtick is like, I'm a black conservative and systemic racism isn't real because there are no laws outlawing black people to do anything. So no systemic racism. That's every Larry Elder video I've ever seen. Okay, we're going to do this one because it's only 7:26. Also, I'm not a furry because I said dress in a dinosaur costume. That would make me a scaly, okay? And I'm neither of those, by the way. Not that I'm trying to kink shame. I don't want to yuck anyone's yum here. If that's what you're into, that's cool. Just, keep it with consenting adults. That's what it's all about. So... Let's do the LeBron.
A cop shoots a black girl to save another black girl, and the outcome is systemic racism and implicit bias from the White House. From the White House. And then you have LeBron James, the greatest and wisest of all Americans. LeBron James is a visionary. I mean, he's willing to take millions of dollars from China and allow China to basically commit whatever human rights violations they want to commit. And then
people love talking about LeBron James taking money from China as if, like, if only for LeBron, they would stop the Uyghur genocide, right? If only LeBron did something here. I would love it if LeBron took a hard line against China, but at the same time, he's just a guy who plays basketball, right? Like, I'm not seeing why this weight falls upon his shoulders. But let's actually see how long it takes him to get to the actual tweet.
He'll defend China. Sure, LeBron James doesn't know his ass from his elbow when it comes to actual statistics with regard to policing or race in the United States. Sure, LeBron James, who is worth approximately $1 billion, goes around talking about how he lives in existential fear of the cops, which is pretty incredible. Sure. Look,
that's one of those things that's like tough to understand. Like, just having money doesn't mean the cops stop seeing you as like a black man, right? Like, I know plenty of black people who are pretty wealthy. Well, I don't know a ton of wealthy people in general, but you can still be stopped by a cop, right? Just because you're driving a car. That's sort of one of the big cliches of systemic racism. Remember that episode of Fresh Prince from my video about the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, how Will and Carlton are stopped because they're driving a fancy car in a strange neighborhood. And Carlton realizes, like, oh, wow, I don't know if he didn't quite realize it at the end, did he? But he was starting to realize, like, sometimes when you're driving down the street, cops don't know how rich you are or that your dad is like a lawyer or anything. They just see your skin color and think like, oh, you're suspicious. Ben doesn't quite get that, though. Or at least he doesn't give it any credence.
LeBron James doesn't really know things. But here's the thing. The media have dubbed him a new wonder worker in American politics. They've dubbed him an important figure in American politics, even though he doesn't know things. When I say that LeBron...
Irony, isn't it? Ironic, rather. Also, someone noticed, I think someone said something about me smacking my lips. I hope that isn't too annoying because I'm drinking while he's talking. So sometimes my mouth has a little stuff on it. Sorry about that. But yeah, the irony of Ben complaining about LeBron James not knowing things when Ben's whole shtick seems to be ignorance, masquerading as wisdom.
James doesn't know things. I mean, it's pretty obvious he doesn't know things. I mean, just last year, he was carrying around the autobiography of Malcolm X, and he was asked specifically, what do you like about this autobiography? And the tape is somewhat revealing. LeBron James knows the slogans, but didn't know much beyond that. So here's LeBron James explaining what he loves most about Malcolm X's autobiography about a year ago.
Oh, wait, is this the one I read? Because I read a Malcolm X autobiography recently. I'd be curious to see what LeBron thinks. Let's see what he says.
So you're holding the autobiography of Malcolm X along with Alex Haley. I don't know how far you are into the book, but what's your biggest takeaway so far?
Well, just a very, very smart man. Very, very, very smart man. And basically, his words in the 60s and what was going on is actually what's going on today still.
Well, it's that sort of...
So, that's interesting. Yeah, I can see the parallels between what Malcolm X was talking about and today, obviously, because of the systemic discrimination against the Black community. And I guess that answer probably won't satisfy Ben because it's very vague in general. I don't know why this is going to upset him, but it looks like it's going to upset him. Look at that face. He's upset. Let us know why that take on the biography upset you.
Brilliant knowledge and incredible wisdom and real insight about race in America that led LeBron James to tweet yesterday a picture of the cop in this case. The cop who just saved a black girl's life. There's a picture of the cop, and it said, "You're next." All capitals, "You're next," with a little hourglass next to it. Hashtag accountability. He didn't care about the circumstances. Didn't care about any of that. All that mattered, it was white cop, black person got shot. Nothing else mattered.
Okay. I don't see what's wrong with that tweet, wanting accountability. If that's if a cop shoots and kills someone, that is something that, should be examined. Anytime that happens, it's something that should have to be justified by the police, right? Isn't that what accountability means? Isn't that... I don't know why this is a problem. And he's, of course, extrapolating, like, he only sees white cop, and, like, LeBron didn't, of course, tweet that. It's something he's inferring there, which is always intellectually honest thing to do, right?
Then he took it down, because it turns out that he looked like an insane fool. Because it turns out that when you attack a police officer for saving a black person's life, you look like a damned ass. But LeBron James didn't care about that, because LeBron James doesn't care about honesty. All he cares about is the fact that he's been treated as a princely figure in American life his entire adult life.
What? How has he been treated like a prince? Because he's good at basketball, I guess. I don't know. And then he took down the tweet. I guess because he didn't have enough information. I don't know. Is the idea that he should have waited for more of the facts to come in. You may notice that I almost never talk about news of the day because I always like waiting for facts to come in. And I think people are a little too anxious, I think. And if this case isn't as clear-cut as like the Chauvin one, for instance, maybe there is something to be considered there. But even so, if someone is shot and killed by police officers, I don't think accountability is ever a problem. And maybe LeBron felt some heat because of, people like him and like Ben Shapiro, coming down on him, right? But it's tough, I guess, when some people are like yelling you to Twitter. And I don't know why LeBron took it down, but hey, let's hear more of Ben's great commentary.
He tweeted out, he took it down. Here's what he tweeted. I'm so damn tired of seeing black people killed by police. I noticed he's not so damn tired of seeing black people killed by other black people because he never tweets about that. He doesn't care about that.
Okay, I think I'm not familiar with LeBron James's Twitter. I know he does a lot of like community work, right? He does a lot of charity work for communities and helping support them. There's a difference between, like, people like to conflate the two. When someone is criticizing police for killing black people, it's because the state has some responsibility for that. When it's violence within a community, it's not treated the same way because, well, how do I want to phrase this? It's not treated the same way because the level of responsibility isn't as high. We give police this authority to sometimes use lethal force, and it has to be justified because they're trusted by the police or trusted by society to create some kind of order. And obviously there's a level of accountability there, and this whole giant all caps accountability is what he's talking about. And for decades, black communities have been under this intense scrutiny by the police. And it's not like this just happened, right? And it's completely ignorant of the history of these communities, completely ignoring how cops have often cracked down on black communities in a lot of ways, a lot of over-policing, a lot of arrests, and just like the experience and looking at the statistics of how the justice system impacts black communities, things like how sentencing rolls out, how certain laws impact black communities more so than white communities. This is the kind of issue. This is how the justice system is stacked against one community rather than the other. But hey, let's let Ben read the rest of this tweet.
He doesn't care if the police save black people by killing black victimizers. That doesn't matter to him. He's so damn tired of seeing black people killed by police. I took the tweet down because it's being used to create more hate. Not because you're wrong, not because you look like an ass, not because it was used to create more hate. Oh, it was a hateful tweet.
Ben is using it to create more heat right now, by the way. He's using it to create more heat because, again, he's deflecting from any systemic critique of policing. He'd rather talk about black people misbehaving. In this case, LeBron James, who decided to make a whole video about a tweet. Cool.
Literally calling for the prosecution of a police officer who just saved a black woman's life, LeBron. He said this isn't about one officer. It's never just about one officer.
Right. It's never about one officer. That would be stupid. You wouldn't reform an entire system because one officer was just having a bad day.
It's about the entire system. And they always use our words to create more racism. I am so desperate for more accountability. How about some accountability for your own words, LeBron? How about some accountability for slandering a man who just saved a black woman's life?
I'm not sure where he slandered him. He asked for accountability. It's not really slander.
I hope he sues LeBron out of existence. Seriously. I hope LeBron has to sign him a nice big fat settlement check for that tweet. He would certainly deserve it. But this is LeBron's America, don't you understand? LeBron is a thought leader. The media agree with LeBron. The White House agrees with LeBron. The circumstances of these cases do not matter. There's only one uniting thread, and that is that white America and all of its systems are racist, and that any white cop who shoots a black person, even in the course of doing his job or saving other black people, is bad.
That's not true. First of all, it's not just white cops. Like, black cops can also be part of systemic racism. It's how systems work. And it's not that they are personally racist. Like, that's completely missing the point. It's how the system is organized to impact communities in a certain way. So he's, again, making the same mistake he was making earlier, conflating personal racism with systemic critique or systemic racism. And God, he's really just repeating himself, isn't he?
Because that, again, is indicative of how terrible the system is. We'll get to more of this in just 1 second, because this has some real consequences in policy. And those consequences in policy, by the way, will end with more dead black people. In a study recently done between 2014 and 2019, the Ferguson protests, the Black Lives Matter movement, has resulted in somewhere between 1,000 and 6,000 more dead people, mostly black, in America's major cities. Over the course of last year, murder rate in America's major cities, 34 of America's major cities, averaged a 30% increase. In certain cities, it was up almost
because of the protests? God, I'm going to need a citation for that.
100%. In just a second, we'll get to more of this, more of the left pushing the lie that the police are the bad guys here. It's just about cop hatred. And the whirlwind that is being reaped will be sown in terms of more innocent, dead people, many of them black.
This is a really creepy talking point. The idea that if we express criticism of police, they may just decide not to police us. Is that okay? Like, I don't understand this, like, idea that police need to be coddled and loved at all times. It's disturbing, honestly, and it just feels like, you know, another step towards fascism, I guess, if we are not allowed to criticize and expect accountability from police. What a major thought, huh?
It's devastating stuff. The lie matters more than the truth. You want to talk systemic racism, you got to talk about the fact that there are so many people in positions of power on the left who do not give a damn if innocent black people die because they've decided to wreck the cops.
The idea that the black communities are only being protected by the cops is just, wow. Let's just keep going. I feel like I'm starting to run out of steam. This guy's videos just are sapping my strength.
That includes people like Benjamin Crump, who can be found at every racial conflagration in America. He tweeted out, this is what he tweeted after the Ma'Khia Bryant shooting, quote, "As we breathed a collective sigh of relief today, a community in Columbus felt the sting of another police shooting as Columbus police killed an unarmed 15-year-old black girl named Ma'Khia Bryant. Another child lost. Another hashtag. Hashtag justice for Ma'Khia Bryant." Okay, one problem. She wasn't unarmed. But that's typical of Ben Crump. Ben Crump says that kind of crap all the time. Every single case where Ben Crump jet sets, he completely botches the fact pattern, and then the media pick up the fact pattern and they start mimicking the lying fact pattern. Valerie Jarrett, former chief of staff to Barack Obama, she tweeted out, "A black teenage girl named Ma'Khia Bryant was killed because a police officer immediately decided to shoot her multiple times in order to break up a knife fight. Demand accountability, fight for justice." So now you don't just want cops to go to jail for using excessive force, like Derek Chauvin. You want cops to go to jail for stopping the murder of another black person.
I guess the question is, was it excessive force, and could that murder have been stopped in other way? I sort of wonder, like, see, this is a case I've not looked into very much. I've only sort of gotten a few of the details. Don't cops have tasers or other non-lethal forms of subduing someone? Like, I figure if you tase someone, because I believe the attacker had a knife, so wouldn't that have been enough? I don't know. See, again, I'm sort of just hypothesizing out loud here because this isn't something I've looked into very deeply. But the frustrating thing is people like Ben Shapiro have already made up their mind about it, and if there's a cop to defend, Shapiro's your guy to do it.
So here's what I'm gathering. All you want is the cops in jail. That's all. You just want the cops in jail.
The ones who shoot people, they seem to be the most upset with, just as a note.
Or you don't want there to be cops at all. And in fact, some people are being pretty clear about this. Hundreds of people gathered at Ohio State University. They gathered outside the Ohio Union. They staged a sit-in inside the building on Wednesday to protest Ohio State's relationship with the Columbus police following the recent Columbus police killing of Ma'Khia Bryant. First of all, I think that the Columbus police, if they have the option, should just tell Ohio State University. You're on your own. Enjoy. Seriously, have at it, everybody. We're out. Organizers told the crowd the protest was for police abolition, not reform. They also called out the university for not acknowledging Tuesday's shooting and said its relationship with Columbus police makes students feel unsafe. Oh, the students feel unsafe, do they? Imagine how unsafe they will feel when there are no cops. Because you know who's going to be the chief target of crime if you get rid of the cops at Ohio State University? All the privileged kids going to Ohio State University. That's who. A lot of laptops lying around in backpacks at Ohio State University. The protest came after Bryant, a black 16-year-old girl in foster care, was shot and killed on the southeast side of Columbus on Tuesday. Protesters sat in silence inside the Ohio Union for 16 minutes for Bryant's age, in solidarity with her. No solidarity with the girl she was trying to stab, I've noticed. But again, the facts don't matter. I mean, it's impressive stuff. It's impressive stuff. And again, it has nothing to do with anything except cop hatred. That's all. It's just anti-cop hatred. I hope...
Again, a gross simplification. The idea that issues with policing are just a question of cop hatred. Again, switching it from policing to cops. I honestly think sometimes there's a bit of a problem when we fixate on cops, the individuals being the problem and not the system of policing. In that sense, I think we could improve our rhetoric there. But Ben is not the person we should be looking to for any sort of advice or input on any of this. His criticism is just really flat, uninteresting, and designed to defend the police at all cost, police and policing. And this is one of those situations where I kind of want to look more into this story. I don't know, maybe this could be a video, because it's not so simple and requires a bit of research to sort out the details. Let's get this guy's face off. Let's just see what... Oh, look, my stream. Oh, that's a good thing to have on your homepage. Oh, God, but Tucker Carlson. Yeah, this window is not looking good. So a lot of great comments. I'm just kind of trying to keep up with these. It's tricky, doing the stream and trying to read the chat. I have not been good at keeping up with it. Yeah. It's a difficult subject, and I wish I had... Yeah, maybe now I'm thinking about this out loud. Sorry, it's hard for me to talk to all of you when I'm suddenly sort of running through the idea of making this a video and looking at this particular case. Because when I look at a case like this, I try to assemble as many facts as possible, look at a timeline, and figure out what could be done and how. People are saying the video is out. If the video of the shooting is out, that would be something I'd have to look at as well and would be really interesting. We're not doing any more Ben Shapiro's, by the way. We're done. The stream is just going to be me chilling for a bit, talking to people, because, God, I can't do any more Ben. I feel so tapped out, and this has been a lot of talking. But I think this has been pretty successful. Just looking at some of the stats here, like, ooh, wow. We've got just over 700 viewers out right now, which is pretty exciting. I did not expect this many. A lot of money, which sort of feels nice. And I think I'm definitely going to do a stream in the future. I don't know if I'm going to be looking at these right-wing grifters because, like, not every week. I don't even know if I do a stream every week, right? But those other two options on the poll I really liked. For instance, looking at videos I didn't put on my YouTube channel. There are three different videos I would love to talk about that made it to different levels of production. One that was just a script that never got any further. One that I actually produced really far, like it was recorded and I had gotten halfway through editing the video and thought to myself, this is bad. This video sucks. I don't want to produce it. And then the most recent one, the one that looks at pornography as an addiction, that one is completely finished and is up for patrons, but doesn't exist on my channel because it's got some issues, right? It just ain't... it's just not a great fit for this channel, and it kind of presents an argument I wasn't trying to make. And I kind of realized I wanted to make a completely different video instead of the one I made. Like the last 5 or 10 minutes of that video I really like. And I realized like, oh, I want to make the whole video about that. So I might just do that instead. And the other option, the sitcom stuff, like there are so many things I cut out of my sitcom videos. Like, wow, just tons and tons of little snippets and bits that I can include. I don't know if I could play clips of that just because I feel like I'd get copyright claimed on it pretty quick. So yeah, and I do have some stuff I can show you though. Certain things that I know exist on YouTube, like things I couldn't include. For some reason, they felt like the video was just too long, right? So that'll be fun to do. And I want to come up with more original ideas for streaming, and we'll probably look at more horrible reactionary stuff in the future. I'll make another poll, and we'll drop Ben Shapiro, and I'd like to have 3 people each time. So it'll be like Tim Pool, Steven Crowder, and I don't know, who else? PragerU? Sure. That's an idea. But I really appreciate everyone coming out, and everyone's bouncing out, which is a good call because there's not too much. I just kind of feel like chilling with everyone for a little bit, and just reading some of the ideas. Like, I have never watched King of Queens. To Devin Green, who just asked. No, wait, I did watch King of Queens. I forgot I watched that show. Wow. Yeah, I watched some of it from one season. It was fine, I guess. I'm not really into Kevin James. Watching basic news channels is an interesting idea, like CNN or something. The problem is I have a lot of respect for mainstream media. People might notice that in my content. I tend to hold them in higher regard than most. I think there is an obvious and serious problem with bias in the mainstream media. I think that's undoubtedly true, and it's evident regarding a lot of the content. But since I'm so used to like digging into right-wing media, it's refreshing to see things actually be evidenced. It's refreshing at like the guise of neutrality, even just something that isn't so unbearably smug and appallingly ignorant. People are mentioning that Kevin Sorbo sitcom. Yeah, maybe I should do a stream about that. I think I will at some point. I was thinking of making it into a video because it was a short series, wasn't it? Like 8 episodes. That could be fun. Maybe I'll make a video about that. Rock is such a great show. Oh, I would love to do a video about Rock. The problem is I don't know where to watch it. If there was a place that had the whole series that was easily that I could easily watch it, that would be great. So if you can send me a DM with that, I would love it. Someone mentioned How I Met Your Mother. I stopped watching that towards the end, and then I watched the finale and was just sort of like, oh. You know what would have been funny if the finale, the kids, instead of having like the kids from season 1 come back from that little recording, they instead had the kids like age in real time, so they'd be like 7 years older, and they would just complain like, Dad, that was the longest story ever. Like, that would have been fun. More anime. I'd love to do more anime. I don't know what to do for anime. Oh, God, I'm just like waiting for season 4 of Chihaya Furu because like, why not, right? That was so good. I have watched Seinfeld like everyone. It's everywhere and everywhere. I don't know how much there is to say aside from Seinfeld is really good, but Jerry Seinfeld is not great. It's one of the great ironies of the show. Someone telling me to watch No Bullshit. I think it's good that we just let no bullshit disappear and fade away. Like, isn't this channel like dead or dying? I'm not even gonna like look it up. I feel like that would be too much engagement for his channel right now. Looking at one historical one. Ooh, interesting. I do have an idea for a historical video I'd like to do. I don't want to spoil the topic because I don't want anyone to take it, but it's, I think, really interesting and would have a very long look back at an interesting term that has sort of fallen out of parlance and has been replaced by another one. Big Dick Jim, that's a really confident name. I have watched Community and I liked it at the time. I feel like if I watched it again, I'd be a little bit like, ooh, I don't know about this. Monster is one of my favorite anime of all time. Oh my God, I almost made a video about that, but I'm afraid it would just be me recounting the whole series because it's so convoluted and messy, but it has so many interesting themes. I would love to do it. Maybe I should do Monster. And yeah, people are just pitching new pitching show review ideas, and I'm slowly reading through all of this. The sitcom retrospective I'm working on right now is not Full House, but it feels like what a Full House one would be, in that it's so hard to find the commentary. Oh my God, this is going to be a tough one to do, but it's, I think, going to be exciting. And I'm like, I kind of want to make that my next video, but it's not going to be done for another like month and a half or 2 months at least. But it's going to be so big. I'm actually halfway through watching the series, and there's so much like research material I've gone through. And I'm like, you can tell I'm super excited about it. It's not Family Matters either, by the way. But that would be interesting to do, about how like Urkel took over that show. That's kind of an interesting little arc there. What else? Attack on Titan. I've only watched the first season, and I've read a lot of the manga, but I don't need a weird series that doesn't know how to make up its mind about fascism. Oh God, so many other anime people are throwing out. Samurai Champloo I really liked. I haven't watched it in a long time. Kirby Right Back at Ya. Sure. Probably not. I've never watched Tatami Galaxy. Maybe I should. I need to watch a new anime at some point. Dragon Ball. Oh my God. Thing is, I love Dragon Ball. As a child, I was obsessed with it, and I'll still watch any like new Dragon Ball content. I have not watched what's it called, the one that's based on the card game. I've not watched any of that, but I have watched all of Super. The thing is, Dragon Ball is so basic and simple. I've watched videos analyzing it, and I'm always like, I don't know, dude, like this isn't good analysis, and I don't know how to do good analysis myself, so it's kind of like, ooh, tricky. It's a tough series. Someone asking, I have read 20th Century Boys. I actually prefer Monster though. I think 20th Century Boys just got too messy and complicated. Something shorter, I think, plays to Urasawa's strengths. I've not watched the movies though. My friend gave me the movies like 15 or 10 years ago, and I just never watched them. I feel kind of bad about them. I ended up throwing them out because they were like cheap, pirated copies. So he told me like, when you watch them, you can toss them. So. Ooh, Cowboy Bebop was so good, but like, do we have anything left to say about Cowboy Bebop? I'm struggling to keep up with this chat. I've watched Black Lagoon, but only the first season. It was pretty good. It's interesting though, isn't it? I should revisit it because it's very hazy in my memory. I've watched the original Fate Stay Night and then Fate Zero, and then that was it. I was told Fate Zero was the best one, and it was pretty good, but I didn't love it. I almost did a Full Metal Alchemist video, but I don't know. I sort of pulled back on it, even though no one's really made a video about the topic I wanted to in Full Metal Alchemist. I don't know. This is slowly turning into an anime stream, huh? And someone asking about Pokemon. I just watched Detective Pikachu. Of course, I've heard of Pokemon, but of course that's not anime, is it? Dragon Ball Evolution. I don't want to watch that again. People confuse me with Big Joel all the time. If I stood next to Big Joel, though, you would see I'm much bigger. And if I ever do a face reveal, I'm going to have to demand Big Joel change his name to Little Jose, or possibly Joselito, which I think would be really cute and fun. BoJack Horseman would be good, but so many people have said stuff on that. I don't have too much to add, sadly. I really liked it. I thought it was an excellent series. Dororo, I've definitely watched. Or wait, do you mean Dorohedoro or Durarara? Like, it's all very confusing, isn't it? I should watch Psycho Pass. I have not, but Family Guy, never. I do not like that show for a lot of reasons. I've not watched Tuca and Birdie, but I probably should at some point, huh? And the show that spawned off The Cosby Show was A Different World, which I feel like I missed out on when I was younger. I wanted to, though, because I've heard it's really good. Like, The Cosby Show was always kind of vanilla, but A Different World is supposed to be, like, really good. Although, it was a spin-off, and I know Lisa Bonet was only in the first season, so she left after that, and it started being about, God, I can't remember the actors' names. It's always on the tip of my tongue. Always frustrating. Okay. I love Netflix's Castlevania. That's a really great series. And this new season comes in like a few weeks, doesn't it? And it's like the last season. That's exciting. American Dad is something I will never cover. I don't like Seth MacFarlane, just across the board. I find him unfunny and overrated. I'm sorry if you're a fan, just he does not work for me. Hunter x Hunter's great, I think. I really enjoyed it when I was reading it, but then it like never came out. So someone said a terrible one-season sitcom. When my Married with Children retrospective was in limbo for so long, I wanted to put out another sitcom retrospective to fill the void. And I almost did Homeboys from Outer Space, but I couldn't find, or Homeboys in Outer Space, and I couldn't find the whole season, sadly. And I was going to do it as like an April Fool's joke, and it would have been a lot of fun because it's a weird series, huh? I can't believe they made that, right? Okay, I'm just trying to catch up with some people here. I've only read The Boys as a comic. I've not watched the show, but a lot of things have changed from what I've been told. And I'd love to look at it sometimes. I know Vadim did a video on that from Hey, It's Vadim, formerly Creationist Cat. That video was pretty good. I just remember talking to a friend of mine who was watching the show, and I just like said, well, in the comic this happened, and it was like, the comic is much more extreme, and this is a friend who's always like, well, this is an extreme show, they do this, and I'm like, oh right, oh I guess they included this part too, and then she was just like, what? They did that? I don't even know if I could talk about it on stream. It was really it was really graphic. I'm trying to catch up with you all now. Oh, Dororo, yeah, I've heard about that. It's in like, I wanted to watch that. It's in feudal Japan. Oh, I should watch that. I remember thinking to myself, like, I should watch this sometime, but then I didn't. I bet it's good. Okay. Chat's going a little quick for me. Lost, I never watched. That would be interesting to watch, wouldn't it? Like, what is Lost in the present day? Because it was a phenomenon in the day, if we all remember the madness of Lost. That was huge. I wasn't a fan of Wolf Children. I only got halfway through the movie. Everyone's going to hate me now. Maybe I should give it a real shot, to be honest. It's not fair of me. My unimpressed stance is not an informed one. Trading Spaces would be so fun to do because I've never watched it, and it'd be fun, like me, someone who has no experience with these shows, just stepping into them, being like, "What is this?" I don't know. I've heard of You're Wrong About, but I've not listened to it. I hope they have a nice voice if I sound like them, though. The gerbil scene from The Boys, I don't know what you're like. That was in the comic, but I vaguely remember it. I'm thinking more of What's-Her-Face's initiation into the Seven, are they called? It's very different in the comics. It's dark in the TV series, but it's darker in the comics. If I do Dororo, I would not want to misgender them. Ooh, yeah, that's going to be something I'll have to watch out for. Golden Kamui, I've read the manga, but it has one of my favorite lines ever, where someone said, I'm going to cut you from like the dimple of your chin to like the dimple of your butt and may turn you into one giant asshole, which is just one of my favorite threats. That's a really good one. I loved The Sopranos back in the day. Fantastic series. I've never seen Brotherhood of the Wolf. I would love to do older sitcoms. One of the big ones I would love to do is All in the Family. And I'll be real with all of you right now. The main reason I haven't done that already is because the distributor for that is Sony. Sony is very protective of copyrights. It would be very difficult to put that on YouTube. And that's literally like why I'm not even going to put it as a pull option in the future, because the headache and unbelievable pain that would go into that is just too much, which is a shame, because All in the Family is maybe maybe the most important sitcom ever. Maybe. It's quite possible. Everyone's talking about Shrek. I've only watched the first Shrek. Yeah. Someone's filling in this. Okay. All right. I've seen Madoka Magica. The first season was really cool and interesting. Ooh, there's an interesting question. What's the difference between the Canadian and US right? Well, the Canadian right is less outwardly fascist and more competent, generally speaking. But there's been a growing trend. They're kind of making a twist towards the more incompetence with our current premier in Ontario, Doug Ford, who is a complete buffoon and is responsible for a huge spike in COVID cases in our province. And it's been a mess here, and I hate it. And yeah, I think it's just because the conservatives in Canada are a bunch of nerds, so they don't have the charisma of some of the conservatives or the right wing in the U.S. But fascism is alive and well here in Canada. It's just more on the DL and more quiet and more polite, which doesn't make it better. It's just in some ways tougher to defeat because it's more covert. I'm not a fan of either the right in Canada or the U.S. I'm just going to say it, okay? I'm just going to say it. Don't like the right. And yeah, Maxime Bernier said the quiet part out loud. Thanks for adding that in, SilentX. But notice how the Canadians People's Party just crashed and burned because Canadians don't like it when you say the quiet part out loud. It's not polite. Paranoia Agent. It was one of those series that would be really interesting to talk about, but there's so much Japanese culture that I feel as though I would miss if I were to really dig into it. And yeah, it's just a Q&A right now. I'm spent looking at Ben Shapiro. I want to talk until, I don't know, let's give it another 15 minutes until 5 p.m. Eastern time, and we can just chill. This is nice. I like seeing all these people in chat. I can't believe over 500 people are actually tuning in for this part of the stream, which is just sort of like chill, whatever. But it's nice though. I like it. Ooh, a deep dive in the Ford brothers. That would be interesting because people do know who Rob Ford is. He was the former crack mayor of my beloved city. He's an interesting figure, to say the least. I don't know. I feel bad for certain people. Like, God, every time I think of Rob Ford, I think of his son in this video after... Okay, this is going to be sad, everyone. You're going to feel bad for Rob Ford, who was a terrible mayor and just kind of a bad dude. But when they asked his son what he wanted to be when he grew up, he said, I want to be a great man like my dad, or I want to become a doctor so I can invent a medicine to make him better. And this is when Rob Ford had cancer, and it was super sad. And I was just like, oh, I feel bad for his son, and I hope his son doesn't follow down the family path, I guess, because God, Rob Ford's brother Doug is terrible. Rob Ford's wife ran as a member of the Canadian People's Party, which is a really far-right party. They're really bad. Bad folks. Maybe I'll make a video about it someday. Someone asked about my voice. I don't practice this. This is just my voice. Just my unfiltered me. This is how I speak. Also, my voice being kind of raspy. Getting a little raspy now. We're getting to the sexy territory. I like it. All the people saying 600 views is good. It is good, but I was up to like 900 earlier. Just, you know, let's be real. I did pretty well. I see the sad voices. I'm sorry about that sad story. It's really heartbreaking because, like, that's the thing. Even though we have these figures we dislike, I think it's important to remember some of their families aren't necessarily political, and I feel bad for children in general who are in those situations because they didn't choose their parents, right? And I have just one thing you know about me is I have endless sympathy for children, because I feel like it's our responsibility as a society to make a better world for them, and in many ways we're failing. Seagulls are fine. There's a nice transition for you. Someone missed my little rant about All in the Family and how I loved it, but it's being distributed by Sony, which makes me very reluctant to tackle it because they're very aggressive on YouTube. Maybe at some point in the future, some people can convince me to do it, possibly. Someone asking if I'm Canadian. Yes, I am Canadian. I've always been Canadian, and I will always be Canadian, most likely. I don't see myself giving up my citizenship for any reason. Someone mentioned the politics of Alberta. I'm not super knowledgeable about Alberta, to be honest. I do know everything outside of Calgary gets a little weird. It's pretty far right, and I hate that the idea of oil being so dominant there is really distorted politics. Yeah. Netflix's Snowpiercer. Maybe. I've not watched the movie or the series, so I feel like I would have to then read the comic as well. I don't want to make any Patreon only videos because I don't like the idea of gating content behind a cost. If something isn't on my channel, it's because I don't think it's good enough to be on my channel, and it's pretty much simple as that. I don't want to I do have an idea for something. Should I talk about this? Well, I'm currently planning to do some merch. Maybe I can just phrase it like that. It's something no one has ever done, as far as I know. I'm teaming up with an artist who is a friend of mine. She is creating something really cool. She's working on a prototype. So maybe in a future stream, maybe on Twitter, I'll be sharing it with everyone. And I hope people like it. Maybe you'll want to order it. And I'm super excited about it because I think it's cute as hell and really nice. So yeah, there's a tease for the future. I have a book review that's just like ready to go. I just have to read the book, and I have the book, but I just haven't gotten around to do it because I wanted to talk to someone about it because I wanted to understand about the teaching of history, basically, particularly to younger people, which is what the book's about. Okay, someone mentioned Magi, the Labyrinth of Magic. That's one of the most like insane manga I've ever read because it just felt like every chapter introduced something new and then like 5 things were forgotten. It's such a mess. It's so narratively messy, and I think it was unfortunate because it could have been good, but it wasn't. I think it was too messy. Although I read the whole thing and I couldn't tell you what it's about. I think veganism is cool. I'm not a vegan. I'm a vegetarian though. I'm considering going vegan, but a lot of it is because I never liked eating meat, so going to become a vegetarian was pretty easy. Just looking at what games do I play? See, I have very eclectic tastes in video games, so I don't really play the newest stuff necessarily. I play Overwatch pretty regularly. I have friends I play with. We play once a week. It's nice. I'm playing Lego Batman 3 because, like, why not? I'm playing a bit of Hades, which is a really great game. I just finished Bowser's Fury, which was pretty damn good. I'm really into the Mario games. I actually thought of, like, people were like, play video games on stream, and that might be nice, but I don't know if people want to watch that. If people do, let me know, I guess. I was thinking something that would be interactive, like, it'd be fun to play like Civilization and see if we can all like work together to create an ideal society. Something like that would be cool. Or even just seeing me go through Persona 4 as I do my intense analysis on it, because it's a series I've thought about a lot, and it's my favorite JRPG. And I've never played Golden, which is madness, right? How can I not have played it? Okay. Oh, my voice is really fading. It's actually, my throat actually kind of hurts right now. So I'm glad we're ending in a few minutes. Do you read any books? I read books all the time. I'm actually, later today, I've got a meeting with my book club. We read Dark Matter by, I want to say Blake Hardin. Was that the dude's name? Let me just double check this. Well, whatever his name was. It was a novel about this guy who goes to a parallel reality. I didn't love it. It was a little too TV movie-ish, I guess. Or not TV movie, like Hollywood movie, and it could have been more interesting. Someone saying Persona 3 is their favorite. That's the second best Persona game. I did not like 5. I thought, ooh, I just didn't. The characters did not work for me, which is a shame because technically the game is better than any of the other ones. If you want a fiction recommendation, I'll give my standard recommendation to make me sound like a smart person. Pale Fire by Nabokov. Excellent, excellent book. You know, I almost was thinking I could play, God, what was it called? Tonight We Riot. It's like an unabashedly left-wing game where you start a riot. I think it's kind of like lame. Like, being on the left isn't just about tearing things down and wrecking shit, but it would have been fun for stream. It's actually free right now. If you go to GOG, there's a hot tip for anyone. It's also 18 cents on the Nintendo eShop. So there you go. Thank you, Ryor42. I appreciate your support. It's really means a lot to me. I have watched the original Twilight Zone, one of my absolute favorites. I'd love to do a video, but it would take so long to do because there's so much to talk about. I've not read the Stormlight Archives, but I really like Brandon Sanderson. I'm just reading the Mistborn books right now. I just read the first Wax and Wayne book, and I'm looking forward to getting to the next one when I have some time. I've never played Workers and Resources Soviet Republic. Sounds interesting. Please don't spam the chat, or else I'll have to like put you to sleep. Is that what it's called? The fan is not for my computer. It's probably my fridge, which is really loud. Ooh, so I think this was yeah, Noelle, I'm gonna have to put you in a timeout because like ooh, I didn't think it would delete everything, but like that's just like a lot. I've never played Crusader Kings, but it's something I'm interested in, slightly. The Twilight Zone taped on video. My issues with that is like the stories just weren't as good. I did like the vibe it had, though. That was true. It just, the quality of the writing wasn't as high, I found. And yeah, Brandon Sanderson is very accessible. Final Fantasy XIV. Guess what? I will never play Final Fantasy XIV. Mostly because a friend of mine annoys me about it, and it's just to keep annoying him about it. I've not played Disco Elysium, but I'd like to try it at some point. Best Final Fantasy, by the way, I'm going to settle it here. It's 6. 6 is the one. It is the chosen one. And it's always been my favorite. I'd like to play Disco Elysium at some time too. Everyone's really reacted to that one. I want to archive this stream. I don't even know how to do that, but I hope YouTube will let me do it. If it is, I might. I'll put a link for it somewhere, and like, it'll be on like my channel page, I guess, or I don't know. If you really need it and can't find it, you can send me a DM and I'll let you know, or send me an email, whatever. Will I post it as a video? I don't think there's anything worth clipping in this whole discussion, to be honest. It was fun, but it was very rambly, and I don't think there's any like specific point where I was like, yeah, I nailed that. So probably won't be a video. 5 is also excellent. I think that one's underrated. But it's not my favorite. I've not played the Final Fantasy VII Remake, but I'm curious because I'm not a huge fan of the original 7. Just because I hate Cloud and Sephiroth, so it's like, yeah, and Final Fantasy 3 is the same as Final Fantasy 3 US is 6. Yes. Yes. I've not played Saga Frontier Remastered, but I'm curious. I'd probably make this video unlisted on my channel somewhere in like a playlist people can access. I think you can do that, right? I think. Chrono Trigger is a great game, but not my favorite. And 9 is very good. Ooh, Final Fantasy 9. That's definitely in the running. Top 3, certainly. Okay, let's talk about the good Final Fantasies. 6, 5, 9, 4, 10, and that's it. Yes, the rest are fine. Like I don't think there are any truly bad ones. But the rest don't rate as high in my mind. Okay, so we're just about wrapping up. It is 5 p.m. Eastern time. I want to thank everyone for showing up. My voice is very shot, so I think I'm going to sound really good at my book club in an hour. They're going to be like, Jose, your voice is so nice. And like, yes, now you all agree with me about the book, right? They probably won't, but that's fine. It'll be a good time. I hope everyone has a lovely rest of your weekend. I hope you all enjoy May Day, have a good time. If you have any feedback about this stream, let me know however you want to. And thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you continue watching in the future. I'll probably do another stream. I'll announce it as a community post so you'll know when that's going to be. Anyway, I hope you all have a lovely weekend.